Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is luca-zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM in all United States.FM network. Another Sunday, another show, and I'm telling you, I am on my knees. This is beyond politics. This is beyond whatever you think. It's about death or life, seriously. And I'm not trying to be dramatic. You know, I couldn't care about the Republican Party. I burned my card a few years ago, and I'm disgusted almost equally between Democrats and Republicans. But this is what we are facing, or what we were facing just a few days ago with these elections. It was beyond party lines. It is about rule of law. It's about destroying completely this republic and completely living a new America that I really believe, if we had lost these elections, would be very difficult to resuscitate. Because what we were facing now, and by the way, the fight is not over yet, it is beyond just another president. After all, we know most of them, they are puppets anyway. This is about now finally having on the open a person, a woman, who's supposed to be behind bars, who broke allegedly more laws that we cannot even mention in 3-hour show. And at that point, regardless, all the things that we knew and the evidence that we have, there was a situation that we prove right now that there is no more rule of law. And to have an alleged criminal like her to become the most powerful person in the world, that's, for me, the most dangerous thing that we avoided. And then, of course, we knew already things that her voting records as a senator, also her policy when she was the first lady, and everything that she could show in the last 30 years or more. This person, for me, is a devil, seriously. And I tell you, I'm glad, I'm grateful. I'm not saying that the fight is over. I'm not saying that we are safe. I'm not saying that we're going to be better tomorrow morning. I'm not even saying that Trump is perfect. You know very well. He needs to prove himself. And the many things we know that he said different things during the year. So we will find out soon exactly what he's going to do. But at least we have a chance. With her, we had no chance. With Hillary, we had no chance. But she told us pretty much on the open what she wanted to do. And I don't need to repeat you everything. You know the story. Before even we go into the criminal record that I really believe she needs to be investigated, I'm talking about even her policy. I'm talking about her agenda. She's a globalist. She's a New World Order whore. That's what she is. And more important, she's a corrupted all the way to the bones. And she's a tyrant. She hates guns. She hates rights. She's for bigger government. And we know very well, if you really are also a blue-collar guy, I don't think really worked out very well for you, the NAFTA and CAFTA during the 90s. Guess what? Now we got even deeper than that, the TPP and the North America Union and this new completely travesty of corporations completely regulating governments. And we know the story. And it's more than that, war. Russia, President Putin, just a few days ago said, thank God, I'm just paraphrasing it, now with Trump, we would like really to reopen our relationships with the United States. We are going to have a chance to have peace. The last few months, Obama, Mr. Nobel Prize, I've been sarcastic here, and this bloodly, she's a really evil. Think about what she did in Syria and what she did, more important, in Libya. Be happy about the murdering of Gaddafi. This woman, she said out loud, I'm going to bomb Iran. I'm going to go bomb Syria. That's the story. She's a warmonger. She works for the corporations, the bankers around the world who love wars. So the point is, we really were very close, to my opinion, to something devastating. That's the point. Now, I want to have an open mind to everything, and I like to bring more important people who were before me. After all, I'm an immigrant. I came here a few years ago, even not that more few, but 18 years ago. But before all this struggle, the struggle with the Clintons, it's way before now. Now we are facing the new generation, the new stage, But we had Bill Clinton out there before even I was able to speak English. And that's why I had this opportunity, a Facebook friend who contacted me, who's been around since the 90s, tried to expose the Clintons. He contacted me, and he wanted to give some sort of an input about this. And I really appreciate it, because as I said, regardless what you think about parties, regardless what you think about any politician, when you have, let's say, a public figure, in this case, the President of the United States, who's going to be almost like an oligarchy or, let's say, a family business, I think it's wrong. I don't care if it's Bush or Clinton. When we have people that have been ruling this country for 35 years or so, it's time to break it. Seriously. Anyway, let me bring this gentleman on the show. His name is Mike, and Mike Wiley from Las Vegas, I guess, right now. Mike, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm in Rhode Island now. I was in Vegas.
Okay, so I got it wrong. Perfect. So Rhode Island, very good. First of all, introduce yourself, Mike. I know that you have some past in the broadcast world, and tell us a little bit about you, and more important, what do you think about what's going on with the Clintons? What happened with these elections?
Okay, well, I was one of the first original rebels, if you will, in the battle with the Clintons. Back in the early 90s, as a radio talk show host in Orlando, I was a gun rights activist. And when Hillary came to power with Bill in 93, she began her health care and her gun control. And she came up with a gun control bill that pretty much had 32 sponsors right off the bat. I didn't really realize that it was her pushing this bill until one day when it hit me. She made comments years later about the police, and it hit me. She's got to be the person behind this gun control bill, because she hates the police. And the gun control bill that she was going to try to have passed in Florida would have prevented law enforcement from taking their firearms home with them, which sounded kind of ridiculous, but Hillary is ridiculous. She's a lunatic. And anyway, so I was on radio in Orlando, and I began the call that I'm going to Tallahassee, who's coming with me, and 7,500 people showed up on Abraham Lincoln's birthday, February 12th, 1994. Mm-hmm. And 2 days later, on St. Valentine's Day, that gun control bill was ripped from the state floor of Florida, along with 10 other bills, gun control bills, that were in committees in the Senate, state Senate. And what happened was we had effectively killed gun control. Because what the Democrats try to do is pass laws in certain states. And there's 5 trend states: California, Texas, Florida, New Jersey, and Ohio. And they already had gun control in New Jersey and California, and they decided to, pardon my voice, but they decided to bypass Texas because George Bush was running for governor. Yeah. And they figured that wouldn't be good. And since Democrats were running Florida at the time, they thought they could get this gun control bill passed. And they didn't. And I ended up being asked to run for the United States Senate. And I ran as a Democrat, and I raised a whopping $20,000. Mm-hmm. But I still came in second, took 39 out of 67 counties, and forced a runoff with the brother of Hillary Rodham Clinton. Now, she wasn't paying attention to anything because her brother was an idiot. He was told to get mutilated in the general election, so she stayed away until all of a sudden I came out of nowhere, and now polls were showing me defeating Connie Mack because I was running basically what Trump ran for a campaign. I was one of the first to run against NAFTA, run for gun rights, run for work, improve jobs. And I ran to improve the inner cities with a program I called Urban Industries of America. Mm-hmm. In other words, it was an America First program that kind of came from Perot to a certain point. But in 94, I was the United We Stand candidate and ran as a Democrat and forced a runoff. And then I refused a bribe from the White House to drop out of the race. And then they attacked me and said I was an anti-Semitic Jew and that I had changed my name to hide my Jewish heritage, which, of course, was baloney. But the Clintons, they had no problem lying.
Okay. You have an interesting website, wileyinfonet.com, and I see that also you wrote a few books, and correct me if I'm wrong. One of those books is, let's see exactly, 1 second, Diary. Okay, what is that exactly?
The Diary of a Right-Wing Conspirator, yes.
Yes, and tell me a little bit about this book, because it's kind of interesting. I see also there are articles and things come back to the past or the 90s, of course, and brings back... go ahead.
Yeah, the book covers 93 to 96, in which I was a talk show host. And then U.S. Senate candidate. And then I was a radio talk show host in Boston. But then I was taken off the air by the Clintons on a deal. They worked with the radio station to take me off the air so that the radio station ownership could buy 8 more properties. So I'm one of the official talk show hosts removed from the airways by Hillary Clinton.
That was before
I know this niche well.
You know, like Savage allegedly what happened. He was talking a few weeks ago before the elections about Hillary disease or whatever sickness she has, and they took him out of the air of New York. You are aware of that? I mean, do you remember the story? What happened?
Right.
So it's nothing new. Nothing new. Interesting. Now, my question is, what do you think? Because right now, supposedly, let's say she gave the speech, she lost, but there is still time between now, of course, and we have 2 stages. First of all, we have the electoral vote, and then we need to have Congress completely officially for the inauguration, everything else. I mean, we are still not there. I mean, many things can happen from now and the inauguration. What do you think? She's just going to go away in the night and let it go, or she's trying to have something? Because I don't trust her. I don't trust anything. I believe that something may happen. And also more important...
Well, I think she has stolen enough money as Secretary of State that makes her kind of happy. I don't think she needs to do any more. She wanted to be president. That was the whole thing. Her goal in life has been to be president. That's why she attached herself, pardon my voice, she attached herself to Clinton, and then she got involved in my U.S. Senate race in Florida because she was not going to sit back. Now, you would think that since I was a Democrat and I was going to win the general election, she would have supported me. But she didn't support me because I was running against NAFTA. I ran for gun rights. I was against her health care plan. I was for working in the inner cities to rebuild America up. Basically, I was running the Trump campaign 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And of course, he would be against that because she's a globalist.
Yes.
So she would rather see the rhino, Connie Mack, win re-election than to have me win, because if I won, the Democratic Party in Florida would be more conservative, more pro-gun, and as a Jew, being a Jewish American, that would have been really strong in the southern part of the state. So she recognized the fact that in order for Hillary Clinton to become president, what does she need to do? She needs to win Florida. If she doesn't win Florida, she can't be president. So I was the first on her list to get checked off. Because if I had won the U.S. Senate race, I could have been in the Senate for years. And maybe, I could have run for president. I never thought about it. I was just running for U.S. President at the time.
You ever
But
heard
I was in the way. I was a roadblock.
Did you ever heard about, I'm sure you did, I'm just trying to verify something. There was a congressman in that type of time where you were active in the political world. It was a Democrat, by the way. It was Congressman Larry McDonald. People sometimes forget about his name. He was one of the most, let's say, powerful, in my opinion, politicians to try to expose this fraud of the free trade. Yeah, I mean, did you have a chance to meet him in person, or what do you think about him? Because I think there is a conspiracy there too. I mean, that guy could have been pretty much the alternative or big danger to the Bill Clinton as a president. What do you think?
First of all, one thing that we all need to understand is that they're not going to give up trying to steal this country from us. So we're always going to have to battle. But what we have to be careful of is allowing ourselves to be pulled into these little fits of rage over things that really aren't that important. And Larry McDonald and his issue was something that really wasn't a big issue. We've seen it for the last year, all these things that are thrown out to get us to think, oh, this is an issue, that's an issue. I actually believe that the whole issue with Barack Obama's birth certificate was actually done to keep our eyes off the true picture. Mm-hmm. And the true picture was that in 1981, he went to Pakistan.
Yeah.
Now, in 1981, how could he go to Pakistan as an American? Because Pakistan was at that time giving up nuclear information to the Iranians, and they were not allowing Americans into the country. So he had to have had a passport of another country, and I believe he was actually an Indonesian citizen. And if you look at Indonesia today, it's an Islamic country that has free health care for Muslims. If you're a Catholic or a Christian, forget it. You don't qualify.
Yeah.
But if you look at what Obama did with coal, he shut down the coal production in the United States in West Virginia. And the difference in that, and you can always find these numbers in the records, but you'll see that Indonesia picked up the difference and shipped more coal to China thanks to Obama cutting back coal here. And I believe that what it is that Obama I believe that his college records, which are sealed.
Yeah.
No one's ever seen his college records.
Yeah.
Those were sealed. And I believe the reason is because he got money as a foreign student.
Yeah.
And if you got money as a foreign student, then how could he become president of the United States?
Exactly. People may say, I already hear many people say, this is a part of the past. Now we got to look at forward, at the present. You know what? This is, for me, crimes like this, they have no expiration date. Seriously. I mean, the point is not because now we have Obama is out of the door, we're supposed to forgive his alleged criminals acts. And more important, we need to always find out and try to get, especially from people like this, they're supposed to be, let's put it in this way, somebody is frauding and lying to the American people. It does not have the constitutional status to be a president. That's something we should always investigate. That's a fact. So I don't want to hear people, okay, now we focus on Trump, forget about Obama. No, I think we should set an example. If this person really did not have the constitutional requirement to be a president, guess what? He needs to be indicted and he needs to be put in jail. And more important, all his acts that he did supposed to be null and voided. Every executive order, every law that was signed, now that is signed.
Every appointee, every federal judge that's appointed.
I know many people don't want to see that type of distraction, but sometimes, you need to burn or you need to cut an arm to stop the cancer. And the fact now that we pretty much de facto, with our inactions, or maybe not just us, but what the system in the government allowed, there is no more check and balance. And criminals are running wild, And another thing I would like to ask, right now we know how many, I don't want to spend too much time, mainstream media, at least some media's been talking between WikiLeaks and all the allegations that we have and evidence of Hillary breaking law after law, talking about serious stuff, felony, lying under oath and perjuries. And then we have, obstruction of justice. Then we have treason. My God, we can write a book just about that. Now, I hope that President Trump is not going to let this behind, because after all, we should move on. No, we shouldn't move on. We cannot move on until we respect the law, and more important, we reinstate the rule of law. What do you think Trump is going to do now, in your opinion?
Well, I actually have an audio book that you can download from audiobooks.com.
Okay.
Called Day One. From Redcoats to Red Ink.
Okay.
America elects a libertarian capitalist to the presidency. And basically, it's what Trump ran on and what Trump would do in his first day in office, which basically would have been what I would have done in my first day in office, because I basically consider myself a populist, or what I refer to as a libertarian capitalist. Mm-hmm. In other words, there's libertarians out there, but they're libertarian socialism. And that to me is no good. So
how can you be a libertarian socialist? Because I know that there are some of them, but it technically is against the principles of the Libertarian Party. Socialism means that you have a government who's going to redistribute wealth and use that wealth for other people. That's pretty much, and also more important, the regulations regulating the industry in the private sector. It is completely incomplete, let's say, opposite of what the philosophy of the Libertarian Party is supposed to have. Do we have right now really libertarian socialists, you think?
If you go up online, you'll see the different forms of libertarians, and there is libertarian socialism. Mm-hmm. So I'm more of a populist. I'm more of a Jacksonian populist.
Okay.
And I have another website. Called www.jack-pop-party.org. And that's for the Jacksonian Populist Party, which basically takes the Jacksonian era, Andrew Jackson, and what he did for the United States. Because you see, let me explain one thing to you. As long as Harry Reid and any Democrat or any Republican can reach into your pocket and take your money while you're sleeping, you're still a slave.
Exactly. I believe completely with you.
As long as the 16th Amendment exists, we have not won.
It is true. And one thing I tell you, I hope the President Trump is going to start to learn, or maybe he knows, but he will have the courage to address it. It is exactly the Federal Reserve Act. I know that you mentioned that in one of your books, and that's for me the most important, cancer to remove if we want to be back to be a sovereign nation and a free nation. Because maybe the average person doesn't understand. But tell us a little bit, remind us exactly what happened in 1913, why the Federal Reserve is so dangerous to the freedom of our nation, and also, more important, of us as free Americans we're supposed to be.
Well, the way the whole thing actually came down is that there was going to be a war in Europe. And in order for there to be a war, countries need to have money to build armies. And if you don't have money to build armies, then you can't go to war. Now, the United States has all this productivity, people making money. So the globalists wanted to be able to tap into taking money from the United States when they needed it. So the Federal Reserve System was created. Andrew Jackson got rid of the central bank when he was president. Now, ask yourself this question. What was the federal debt prior to the creation of the Federal Reserve and the 16th Amendment, which both happened in the same year?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is debt was zero. So if the nation was able to run on tariffs and fees, it didn't really need an income tax.
Exactly. I mean, we did not have an income tax before 1913. That's a fact. And, there was one for, there was an income tax in 1873, I believe. Yes.
But it was found to be unconstitutional by the Supreme Court.
Exactly. And more important, the idea, of course, President Jackson, for me, was the last real president that, studied American history, was really understanding the danger of the central banking system, because after all, these are private banks. That people maybe forget that, or maybe they may not because they get somehow, let's say, confused by this name called federal. There is nothing federal with the Federal Reserve. It's not part of the government. It is a federal as Federal Express. It's a cartel of banks. It's a private corporation. And I think last time I checked, their charters, they are in Delaware, and they are like different big bankers and big bankers' name. I mean, that they own the share of this corporation. And this corporation now, because government somehow, at least a very little part of government, maybe people may forget, but 1913 was the night of Christmas. Most of the Congress, they were in vacation, they were in the holiday, vacation time. So there were nobody there really. But of course, the president.
That's correct. The law was passed 3 days before Christmas.
Exactly. So it was a dirty trick that they did. There was no internet then. There was not many way of communication and transportation. They didn't have airplanes, So the point is, Congress was pretty much out, and whatever was left there was a conspiracy against the American people. President Wilson was part of it, so much that he also, before he died, he admitted it. He created a monstrosity with this Federal Reserve. And correct me if I'm wrong, I've tried always to learn all this the last few years. The fact that it's proven that every time now we, as Americans, in this case the government, ask for $1, could be for a war, could be for a social program, whatever, this dollar is a dollar of debt. That means we had to go out and beg it from this private cartel of bankers called the Federal Reserve, and they print the dollar, or now it's digital, doesn't matter, and we have to pay the interest, just because now they have the magic authority, the magic powers to create these dollars, and we, the slaves, we got to pay back the interest with our income tax. And that's pretty much really what the income tax does. Was this Reagan, when Reagan was president, he did a committee. I forgot the name of the committee. It was an investigation, congressional investigation. I forgot there was a specific name. Anyway, they found out that every dollar that we pay in income tax, all it does, it just repays the interest on the debt. So think about it. Right there, we have a big problem. We became slaves in bondage of a private bank that we have to work a good part of our life to pay real money, or at least real labor, because this money, they may be paper, but we still need to create it with the real labor to give it back as slaves to the central cartels of bankers. Am I right or wrong here? What do you think?
First of all, I agree with mostly everything what you've said. There's a couple of issues. Number one,
go ahead.
The income tax was created for the benefit of wealthy Republicans and Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
It was for the benefit of wealthy Democrats and Republicans in the state of New York and California. And the reason being is, prior to the 16th Amendment, a lot of the monies that were being paid to the federal government were coming from the wealthy in those two states, especially Wall Street. Wall Street wanted to cut back on how much tax money they were paying, so they came up with the idea to have an income tax.
Yeah.
And so the income tax was passed by Republicans in the House and the Senate, and then it went out to be signed and ratified by the states. And when it came back to the federal government, the whole federal government was now filled in 1912 with that election of Democrats. Democrats took over everything, and they put it through. So the tax taxing of American people is done by both Republicans and Democrats.
Yes. I mean,
equally.
That's true. I mean, remember, after all, the bankers control both parties. And this is the idea that's why I really believe there's no much difference beside, of course, some things they want to try to always divide us, maybe abortion or maybe, of course, the gun control. By the end of the day, the idea that when it comes down to talk about the most important thing, in my opinion, who really controls this government? Who is the Federal Reserve? Why do we need to pay income tax? Why people, they are not informed that before 1913, we didn't have to be submitted to such, let's say, act of violence. This is a violence. After all, let's put it this way. If government tomorrow tell you, by the way, you need to pay 100% of your income as a tax, you would be consider yourself a slave. We know that. But if they say, you know what?
No, I'm a gun owner. I'm a free man.
I understand, but the point, that's the way pretty much they brainwash us. They say, you are not a complete slave. You're paying just 60% of your income. I'm still a slave. That's the reality. Then I may pay or not. That's my decision. But the idea that I need to pay, if I don't pay, guess what? They will make you pay the consequences. We are not like Al Sharpton. I mean, I think Al Sharpton, you see it right now.
We have to get the 17th. We have to also get the 17th Amendment repealed.
Yes, remind us a little bit, because I like always to use this show as an important information to educate ourselves, and also I like for me always to learn or maybe learn more. Go ahead.
The 16th, 17th, and 18th Amendments were passed by the same crooked scum. The 16th Amendment was, of course, to tax us. The 17th Amendment was to go ahead and let senators run like congressmen.
Yes.
But that was not the original intent of the Constitution. The Founding Fathers wanted the Senate to represent the states. And therefore, because there's three entities. There's the people, there's the states, and there's the federal government. And the Congress, the House of Representatives, represents the people, and that's why they're elected every 2 years.
Yes.
Every 6 years, the state legislators were to reappoint or appoint new senators to represent the state and the state's issues. And then the president was supposed to execute and operate and manage the federal government.
Execute, not create laws like edicts, like we've been having president the last 20 years at least. Of course, Obama. Really. Okay.
Now, the reason why we have senators that have been there for 30 years is because of the 17th Amendment. You wouldn't have had that if the 17th Amendment had never passed. Now, the 18th Amendment was, of course, for prohibition. But what a lot of people don't know is the reason why we had prohibition. We had prohibition for one major reason. After World War I, Europe was devastated. And they had nothing to produce to generate monies to bring into the European countries so that they could pay their $15 million that they owed the Central Bank of Germany. They owed $50 million to us, but they didn't really care about paying us back.
Yeah.
So what happened was we shut down the manufacturing of alcohol in this country so that it could be exported in from Europe, and that would provide monies to go into Europe from the United States so they could turn around and pay back their debts to their bank.
Yeah.
At the same time, it opened up the opportunity for organized crime to merge with organized political crime.
Interesting.
And that's how you got all these politicians to learn how to be crooks.
Speaking about politicians, what do you think about now the fact that Trump seems to be the person that, from what we see now, is outside their control? You think, is that true, or is part of a deeper plan? What do you think? Who is Trump, in your opinion? You think he's a genuine person right now that maybe really become a difference between the establishment that we have, or maybe just more sophisticated part of a bigger plan? I'm just curious, what do you think?
What you're seeing and why the enemies of America are concerned most about is the fact that Trump is actually the revolution that we began 20 some odd years ago the populist revolution. And that revolution was to end the political elite structure in this country and allow a capitalist nation to be run by capitalists. For the last 8 years, our nation's been run by a communist or an Islamo-fascist.
So you think it's genuine? Your opinion, you think we have a chance to have somebody that is outside their control so far? Because even Reagan, started like, I think it was generally, before he got elected, he meant well. And then I've been studying a little bit history. He went pretty much fall for the same globalist. He had one of the highest number of CFR members in his administration, and he followed many of their plans. He got compromised. What do you think about Trump? Is right now individually, let's say, different from them? Is out their control? Do you think we have a chance with him?
Trump is his own man. He's a corporate guy. Trump is a major leaguer. What a lot of people don't understand is politicians are minor leaguers. They really are. Most of the politicians are in government because they can't get hired in the private sector because they're either too stupid or they're too crooked.
That's true.
So if they have a last name that is related to someone that used to be in politics, or if they're wealthy, or if they know how to beg for money, they go into politics.
Yeah.
But what you're going to see is you're going to see a major leaguer now run the country. And as long as they prevent him from being assassinated, because I wouldn't put that past these crooks that we just beat in this election.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and
let me tell you, I'm sure that Soros and his machines did switch 1 to 2% of the votes for Trump in the states that they were in to Hillary. But what happened, it was still too many more Americans that came out to vote, and they couldn't overcome that.
I believe the same. Honestly, I really believe that because the fact that they even didn't want to recount, they knew that if we really start to go down and, let's say, recount the votes, we may find out that maybe there wasn't just a 2 or 3%. I really believe looking at, for example, let's just look at facts that we can monitor with our own eyes. The average Trump rally, or let's say gathering, was by 1 to 10, or at least 10 to 1 compared to the average, let's say, gathering of Hillary supporters. I saw the concert with Beyonce, part of the concert, and the other guy, Jay-Z, whatever is his name, and Hillary was there talking about big names, free concert, and they could even fill up half of a third of that room.
Right.
That's something that makes sense. You cannot think that these numbers do not even translate at the polls. But we know for sure that we prove a lot of cases of corruption. Fraud, voter fraud. Go ahead.
I think what we're going to see is the end of the political elite. Matter of fact, I already planned on writing several books. One of them is called ESQ, which is the 3 letters behind every attorney's name for Esquire. And the ESQ stands for establishing the status quo. Because you see, in our country, we have a problem in the court system. I'll give you an example. I just had a lawsuit that I filed against Yelp dismissed. Now, I didn't even get my opportunity, my right of due process as the 7th Amendment to the Constitution states, to be able to take my detractor to court. And the reason is because of procedural baloney that the courts use against people when they try to represent themselves. And they use too much what is referred to as stare decisis. In other words, if somebody ruled this way in New York, well, then we use that for any other rulings. It kind of prevents any change in the system. So what happens is you can't challenge things that are wrong. And we have to change that because if we have the monopoly being run now by the lawyers in this country, who also happen to, if you think about it, the lawyers are not only the lawyers in this country, The lawyers are also the people in the news media. You look at Fox News, all those beautiful women, they're all attorneys.
Yeah.
How many of these people that are reporting for Fox News were attorneys? Almost all of them.
Yeah, it's true. It is
So
true.
you have lawyers that are in law, they're in the courts, they're in the media, they're in the government. And that's the elite that are ruling us.
Yeah.
And that we have to defeat. And to defeat them, we have to fight them in court, which is another avenue that I'm going to have to write a handbook on how to defeat these people.
Yes. Listen, I want to thank, a lot of good information. I want to say this show, guys, it is not even a show. It is, for me, a tool to learn, a tool to try to share this information, because that's the first weapon I really believe we should have. It's knowledge, but it needs to be followed up by action, because you can know everything you want, but then if you keep it for yourself, you do not share it, and you do not put it in action, it's a waste. So I say always, it's really important. Sometimes I can imagine the average listener say, what are you talking about? 1913? I mean, we are 2016 here. Move on, man. Guess what? That's why we are the state we are, because we forgot who we were. We need to understand our mistakes, what exactly happened to this country. We are not at this point, right now, if you have your dollar that is worth nothing, it is not because something happened by accident. No, it was a long process. We need to understand the causes, so that's why we need to educate ourselves. Go ahead.
Luca, when I was 10 years old, which was 50 years ago, there were 4 black children in the inner cities. 50 years later, there are still 4 black children in the inner cities.
Yeah.
How could that have been allowed to go on for so long?
Not just
unless
black.
It was a strategic methodology of the Democratic Party, which it was.
Yeah.
And what really made me feel good was that Trump, it was almost as if Trump read my books on how he campaigned. Because he basically ran my campaign, and he had the money and the stature to carry it through.
Yeah.
And I kind of believe that God had his hands in this one.
I believe there is a miracle here. Listen, I've never been a Trump groupie, because I believe that, I don't follow the man, I follow the ideas. And of course, honestly, with Trump, there are some things I agree, some things I don't agree, but that's not the point. The point is right now, when we had to face a serial criminal like Hillary Clinton, and this man that never been a public, let's say, servant, he's always been a private business. And it's like a Boy Scout compared to Hillary, because he didn't do all the things that she did. So my point is, of course, right there we have a black and white clear for me. And then when we start to go into ideology, even Trump is not exactly what you call a constitutionalist. He's more of a, let's say, corporate guy. But at least I believe while we have a chance here, there is a dialogue, there is a way that we can at least have some basics in common that come back to our foundation, free market and things like that. But more important,
I think you'll find him to be a libertarian capitalist.
Exactly.
See, that was one of the problems that he had in the beginning, was he was more libertarian than conservative. And conservatives didn't like his stance on gays and gay marriage.
Well,
and that kind of hurt him in the beginning.
Well,
but when people like Ben Carson came over to his side, and that's who I supported. I was with Ben Carson in the beginning, and then I switched to Trump.
Listen, for me, the point of things like gay is not the most important thing right now. I'm not saying that they don't have their rights. Everybody got their rights. But the point is, we have $20 trillion in debt. We are ready for World War III, and we live in a police state. So the point is, that's the focus that we should start with. And we have, more important, we have a private central bank called Federal Reserve that is enslaving all of us, gays included. So before let's talk about the most important things. And Trump, you can have the gay, that's fine. My point is not even the gay issue that, honestly, I may even agree. I think gays government should have no right, no business in telling us who we marry or not. In my opinion, it's our private life. So that's the point, if we do it in a way that we do not use violence or coercion. And of course, we are everybody over 18. But regardless, what I think really was concerning for me about Trump was the fact that he has some socialistic mindset, Like, for example, of course, nothing compared to Miss Hillary, but still,
what do you mean by socialistic mindset?
I mean, for example, at least things that we can see from outside. When he starts to go out in Iowa and he says, by the way, I will support still this ethanol, this subsidizing of this industry. Okay, that means this corn industry get big tax dollar, let's say credits or even just benefits to produce this corn for this industry. I mean, that's not exactly a libertarian mindset. When you have a government using taxation, using money as from our tax dollar to let's say support an industry, that's not free market. That's different. So, and that's just a little aspect.
Let me speak to that, because a lot of people haven't been in the corporate life like I have. I've worked at Xerox. I've been in the big corporations. I understand business and I've helped run businesses. And what Trump is looking at it's not really socialism, it's balance. In other words, he's balancing an economy just like you balance a business and you have 5 or 6 different revenue streams, if you will, of business segments. And some segments may need more capital investment than others. And so you put into it there so you have balance. And see, that's how he looks at things. And I know a lot of people couldn't understand that because it's not in their background.
Oh, no,
but, I like to have free market as well. But right now, our free market for oil and stuff flows through Chicago.
It is not really free market. We have a monopoly of the oil. I mean, that's not even free market. I mean, we are already here, let's say, a corporate system that I call fascist because they use the government to create some sort of a special connections with corporations. I mean, my point is this, though, our tax dollar, especially the extorted tax dollar of our income tax, when we have a government that can redirect the tax dollar for other industries, and that's called redistribution of wealth. That's my point. My opinion, a real free market is supposed to be the government stay the hell out of our business. It creates the infrastructure that we can operate, the roads and judicial system. Mm-hmm. We can have some sort of decency. We don't need to shoot each other, in the street. And we get that type of course, to defend our borders, and the rest, us, we the consumers, we decide what is the best product, and how much we're going to pay is going to be dictated by the demand. That's the idea. And honestly, that's just an example. I don't want to focus so much on just one thing. But my point is, I just wish well, seriously, I voted for Trump. I'm not even a Republican. I'm an independent. And I had not even a second flinch to think that there was any other option. Because right now, I tell you something, I also believe that the Libertarian Party has been hijacked by the same forces that they are behind the Clinton. Because when I see, for example, a vice president or a candidate running for the Libertarian Party, vouching for Hillary or being advocate for gun control, I even want to remember his name, the guy that was running with Johnson, the vice president candidate.
The former governor of Massachusetts, William Weld.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that party...
He's a rhino Republican. That makes him useless.
So that party is being compromised too. And what they wanted to do, they wanted to spoil these elections. I believe that as much Trump, there are a lot of things he needs to prove. At least we have a chance. He have a chance that he can prove him. He can do him. Because I tell you right now, I was thinking the fear in my heart to wake up right now and to have 4 more years of Obama on steroids with Congress completely lost, because, we would have lost also probably the Senate and the House. And there is no more place to go. I already came from Italy. I went around the world, and this is the last place I believe a human being has a chance to fight back for his or her freedom. And I tell you, I would have been very ready to go to Mars after this, and I don't want to go to Mars. Okay?
Luca, I'm going to have to go, but I want to
let you
pass
go.
one thing on to you. Okay,
go ahead. Yeah.
There's a movie on Showtime. It's a documentary movie. It's called 0 Days, and everyone should watch it because it's going to be a kick in your head.
I'll watch it.
It has to do with the fact that we were in a cyber war with Iran and no one knows about it.
Okay. Interesting.
And it goes into and explains why we attacked who we attacked.
Yeah.
Because of the petrodollars.
Yes.
For instance, all right, everybody wondered why we went in and attacked Iraq. Well, Iraq decided to sell its own oil without requiring it be paid in U.S. dollars.
Yes, that's a fact. That's a fact.
They were going to sell it to euros, and they didn't like that, the petrodollar people.
Yep.
Now, the government of Libya under Gaddafi had his own healthcare plan that was working well, and he set up his own national bank that he was going to use to help develop a pan-African economy based on a gold standard currency.
Yeah.
And Libyan oil would have been sold on the market for gold and not petrodollars. And so that's why Hillary Clinton had him wiped out.
Yep.
That's why she wiped him out.
I agree.
That was the reason.
It is true. It is true. Listen, I want to thank you again for your knowledge, for also for your activism that you've been doing, before even many of us were awake. And I would like to give you one more time. Please give the website where people can check you out, and more important, look at your books. Go ahead.
www.jack-pop, P-O-P-party, P-A-R-T-Y.org. Jack Pop Party. That's the Jacksonian Populist Party.
Perfect. All right, listen, thank you very much, Mike. Guys, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. We'll look at Zanna, a little break, and then I'm going to wrap up this hour and ready for our number 2. Do not go away. In this world where everything seems to be going sideways, when you need things set straight, Zanna Coffee Straight Shot Espresso. Start your day with a bang. The best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade, certified, sustainable, organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Don't be cheap. You deserve the best. Get Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. Here we go. Back into the studio. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM. I'm telling you, I'm still in shock. I'm not a Republican, and I've been critical about Trump's past. Because, you always want to be critical. I don't have gods out there in the political parties. I don't care which parties. I don't have gods in any man. I believe my God, Trump, is not God. But at the same time, I wanted to have an open mind, and I voted for him. Even I've been somehow, let's say, be open and skeptical about many things in the past. That is sad. But right now, the choice was between a criminal, a globalist, evil, criminal whore called Hillary Clinton. That this is not about any more political differences. This is about this woman needs to face trial. That's the most important thing really came down to. But then, of course, we already know also the corruption, and it's proven. I mean, I talked to friends that they were born here, older than me. I came here just 18 years ago, and I tell you, in 18 years in this life, in the American life, I never seen such completely disregard of the rule of law, like with Hillary Clinton. Right there should be enough for all of you guys, no matter which party you believe, no matter which ideology, to think Hillary Clinton does not deserve any vote. All she deserved was to face trial. That's it. Now, Trump, you may not like him. You may say whatever you want about him as a businessman. But the point is, compared to Hillary Clinton, he has no record. Okay? That's a fact. So that's the point. Now, at the same time, I want to tell you something. This is the moment right now for Trump to prove himself. First of all, to prove himself that he's not going to repeat the mistakes that, for example, Ronald Reagan did. I wasn't around that time, but, I read history and I see Ronald Reagan, the first mistake he did, unfortunately, he was surrounding himself with all this Council of Foreign Relations members, with the globalists. And that's, a tough place. You can be a man, you have great ideals, you want to do great things for the country, but then when you surround yourself with the same type of globalists that anyway, they don't care about Republican or Democrat Party, they're still there and they set the agenda. That's the first thing I hope President Trump is not going to make. At the same time, we have a great hope, and I mean real hope, not the Obama's hope. Because I tell you, right now we have the House, we have the Senate, and we have the presidency. When I say we, I'm not a Republican anymore. I'm talking about we the American people to try to repeal these fascistic laws like Obamacare. That right now, even a coyote, even a freaking scorpion in Arizona may understand what type of joke was. When you have your monthly bill, your monthly insurance, freaking check in the mail you need to pay for, it's 120% more than what you paid last year. I know people that they used to pay, $120, $130, before they got into Obamacare, and now they're paying $600. How do you want to justify that? Morons out there. This is beyond party lines. Okay? And more important, let's not forget, we were close to World War III. President Putin just the day after Trump was elected, he said, I'm really willing now to reopen our relationship with America. I tell you, Hillary, you know the story. You already said that. She wanted to go there in Syria and bomb the crap out of Syria like she did in Libya. Like she's been doing this and their agenda. It's on video. I think I played a couple of weeks ago. Hillary, yeah, if I get elected, I'm going to bomb Iran. Are you kidding me? This is the people that you want in the Democratic Party. That's the person that you think represent really the ideals that you're supposed to believe. Freedom and peace. First of all, you don't believe in freedom. You are statists, most of you guys. But let's say, you were complaining about Bush illegal wars, and I was with you. Anyway, regardless, all I said, thank God, I really am on my knees right now. Even I'm not a Republican. I am thankful that I woke up today in America, that we have a chance, and hopefully Mr. Trump, President Trump, will prove to himself and to us that he will not be corrupted by the establishment in Washington. That's all I can pray right now. And I really believe we should give him a hope. We should give him a chance. That's the point. Because there are many issues that he brings, also for the Democratic people, for the Democratic Party people. TPP, NAFTA and CAFTA, that's your friend Bill Clinton, Hillary, that's what he wanted for you guys. And they sold you out a long time ago. Trump is against those. Right there should make you think. Okay, don't go away. Ready for our number 2. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on United States.FM network.
A protester came in, slammed her windshield that's now broken. She's visibly upset in the front seat. Someone has a bat. Someone has a bat right here. There's a couple people out here trying to keep the peace. This is not good. This is not good. This is not good at all. This is the second altercation involving protesters and a motorist in the last 30 minutes. Again, we're at Alder and Grand. A protester broke the windshield of the woman's car here. Let's see if we can get a shot of that. Corey, can you get a shot of the window? Corey, I want you to move out for your safety.
Yes, Mike, we want to make sure that you and your photographer are safe. A lot of people just trying to get their own video of it. It seems like this is a moment where it seems like the police would intervene. And a scary moment for that woman.
Yeah, you're exactly right. This is what motorists are extremely frustrated. This hands-off approach by the police bureau leaves them hanging out to dry out here in situations like this. This woman is by herself, surrounded by protesters, hundreds of them. Her windshield's broken. She claimed to have had an emergency that she was trying to get through for. She's visibly upset. Protesters allege that she tried to run over a kid. I can't agree with that. I was out here, and someone jumped in front of her car as she was slowly trying to drive away.
And Mike, what happened to her windshield?
Hit
that with a bat?
I don't know. I just know I heard a big crash and then people running from the windshield. I believe it was a bat or someone's fist.
We have seen some of the protesters carrying bats.
I'm going to move away here. We're going to move away.
Here we go. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and all United States.FM network. Second hour. Back to everything about guns. Yes, sometimes, like for example, last Sunday was a pre-election time, and I had a guest from the Green Party, Mr. Biasucci, Leo Biasucci. We broke down a little bit the format. Normally, the second hour, when you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom, we talk about guns. But it's not just about the practical part, of course, but also the mindset, also the legislation, the news, everything in between, and deals. I always try to find for you new deals. Now, unfortunately, what you just heard right now, just a few seconds ago, I played that audio from Portland, Oregon. A woman completely surrounded in her car by violent protesters against Trump. They're against everything. It is not about Trump. These people have been protesting even before, the last few years, since Obama really went in power, okay? This is nothing new. It is just an excuse. But the point is, they are violent. Yes, they're real. They're dangerous. And think about it. In America, the sad thing is you have this woman. Maybe she didn't even vote for Trump. Who knows? Honestly. But nobody has the right to destroy other people's property, to endanger other people's life, and to kill people. That's the bottom line. People can get killed. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I support the right of people, or the people, to peacefully protest. It is our right. I would give my life to defend anybody's right out there to protest peacefully. Okay? But the moment that you start to be violent, unless for self-defense, of course, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just to be an arrogant bastard, to be a fascist, or to be one of these Bolshevik. It doesn't matter. You're still violent. People there is no difference between a fascist and a communist. It's the same. You want to purpose, you want to, let's say, achieve your goals with violence. And of course, in this case, the goal is that the state is your God. That's the bottom line. And the moment that you cross that line, you're not anymore a protester. You are a violent criminal, and you deserve to be dealt accordingly. So that's my point. We need to really realize that the danger, it is not even started. Forget about over. The elections, they are not still being ratified. The electoral votes, they are still not being completely cast. And there is still time, since now to December, and of course then to inauguration. Many things can happen. What I'm concerned that all these riots, that by the way, they are not spontaneous, they've been planned. We have proofs through evidence, through also WikiLeaks emails, that the DNC was behind provoking these riots. We know that George Soros has a big part. We know that these people, they've been, driven around with, big buses. It is not just a spontaneous bunch of idiots getting violence. No, this is a plan. Now, what can happen? I don't know, but everything can happen. The situation can completely go out of control pretty easily. Because if you think about it, this is not just about today. People in 8 years since the Obama administration took over, they're doing even worse economically. Look at the black people. They're doing worse now than before. And I'm not for Bush, you know that. But the point is, for sure, the poverty is still there. It got even worse. People got frustrated. And there is more racial division than ever. This is a fact. Obama really put a great help into that. And I've been sarcastic. We are not better. We are worse. Now, all they need is an excuse. And when people say, protest Trump, they don't even know Trump. Trump so far has done nothing. Besides to be a business owner, you may be liking him or not. But the point, he has now the record that, for example, Hillary has. I would like to ask to all these protesters, they're so aware and so afraid of Trump. Where you were when Hillary was bombing the crap out of Libya, killing innocents? Where you were when the Benghazi victims, they were murdered and tortured? Where you were? I didn't see you protesting on the street, you bunch of hypocrites. We're going to have a conversation. I'm very open. I want you, by the way. I would like to have you on my show. If you are one of these protesters who really think Hillary is a saint and Trump is such an evil bastard, I want you on my show. But be sure one thing. I'm not a victim. Okay? I'm not here to take it. If you want to have a, let's say, engagement with the First Amendment, you can call me names. That's fine. Be always polite, though, to at least, comply with FCC rules. And you can come here and call me idiots if you want. Whatever you want. We don't agree, that's fine. But the moment that you cross the line and you start to throw the first rock at an innocent, I don't know what you're doing. Portland, Oregon seems like a very sad place to live. I see also police not even intervening. That's the worst part. You see this woman there, could be your mother, could be your daughter, could be your sister, could be your wife, could be just a woman or a man, doesn't matter. And the police does not move a finger. When they see that she's been surrounded, they with a bat or whatever they use, they break her windshield. I mean, this is serious stuff. Okay? So we are alone. That's the reality. We need to start to really understand that things can degenerate very rapidly, very fast in the next few weeks. The danger is not over. Trump can be assassinated. Let's be spelled out. It seems like right now he's not playing game with the elites. I hope he's going to do it right, but the danger is going to be even more. Obama can still declare martial law. We have more of these riots. Guess what? Perfect excuse. They can also create an economic crisis, we know. And they're going to blame it on Trump. By the way, you know very well that after 8 years of printing money out of thin air, having more than $20 trillion in debt, without counting the other type of debts that we have, we're talking about Social Security and Medicare, all this stuff. We're talking about trillions and trillions. I'm not even going there. Just the national debt. Forget about politics. We are now almost $20 trillion. Right there. They need an excuse when they're going to go down, when they're going to implode this economy. And of course, Trump looks good. Now all is his fault. Nobody else. All Trump's fault. Correct, right? Regardless, we gotta start to take care of ourselves. That's why in this hour, second hour of Guns, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. I want to come out with some ideas, some technical, practical ideas. First of all, how to avoid such situations. And then to have a plan. And then be trained. Because in case you need to defend yourself, you are on the ground, guess what? Nobody's going to come and save you. Maybe your brother, maybe your father, but I don't see many times in these videos cops coming out. I mean, there is another video, for example, a poor man, white man in this case, of course, surrounded by black people. I forgot where, but doesn't matter. It's on YouTube, you can find it. And just because I think he has the Trump sticker out there, they drag him out of the car, they put him on the ground and start to beat him out like a dog. And this man, of course, he had no training. He had no way and no tools to defend himself. And this is so sad. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you voted for Trump, for Bernie Sanders, for Mao Zedong, or whatever even if we don't agree. Nobody deserves to be beaten up like that for no reason. Nobody. You are a coward, by the way, if you are there beating up a man that is on the ground, who is on the ground. Especially when he's an older man, especially when you are, you think you're strong because you're surrounded by, few of your other thugs friends, You think you're strong because you're beating up an old man, bastards. Sometimes you're going to find a surprise, though. But remember, there is a big equalizer, a great equalizer. I don't care how big or small you are. If the old man on the ground had a handgun and knew how to use it, it would have stretched your ass pretty fast. And you are cowards, by the way. People like that, they are no warriors. They are no fighters. You are just a pack of cowards. Okay? And also I heard lately, for example, that on Facebook there are some of these anti-Trump supporters who really love to browse and to find out who are the Trump supporters to try to intimidate them. Guess what? I posted on my Facebook page, even I'm not really a Trumpy, I'm not, I voted for Trump, but I'm not in love, okay? I'm not in love with any man or woman out there. I don't treat them like gods, okay? They are politicians after all. I voted for him. I demand that he does what he's supposed to do, and we move on. And I'll support him if he does that. But meanwhile, I just voted for him. But regardless, yes, I'm not going to put down my father. I also posted, even out big in bold cases, I voted for Trump. If you have a problem, I live in Bohlke County, Arizona. My name is Luca-Zanna. Okay? If you want to have some sort of conversation about differences of ideas, I welcome you on my show. If you see me on the street and you start to act violence, guess what? I just say, be sure what you're doing. That's all I'm saying. Okay, now let's start. It's happening, as I said. Now we have situation also, of course, that, as I said, there is not just one case in Portland, Oregon, or in Oakland. They're burning, for example, California, buildings and businesses. I mean, poor little kid at school. I think it's 11-year-old, got beaten up by his other students, just because he raised his hand. He said, I voted for Trump. And the teacher, where was she? This is ridiculous. By the way, he got really injured, had to walk on a wheelchair. So my point is, what can we do as a law-abiding American to have a plan to start to defend ourselves? First of all, we got to get training. I tell you, I don't care where you get training. You can get training whatever you want, but I can give you some ideas. I told you in the past about Frontside. I'm a life member, and it's great. If you want to become a member, Frontside member, I invite you to contact me. I have different packages of membership I can give you for incredible deals, almost a cost, really, because I just want you to have the training to defend yourself and your family. So in case you want that, contact me. You go to lovegunsfreedom.com, lovegunsfreedom.com. There is my email, zanna@zanna.us. Send me a link, and I'll tell you how to become a lifetime member. Incredible opportunity. Now, there are also other ways. Lately, for example, recently, I rediscovered the NRA. Yes, I say I rediscovered. I tell you my story briefly. The National Rifle Association, about 12 years ago, when I left California, I was a lifetime member for the NRA. As an American, as a new American, I really thought, it's a great organization and I would like to support it. Now, what happened to me then? When I found out, for example, 12 years ago that NRA has an official website in 2 languages, English and Spanish, I was very disappointed, I must tell you. And, as a former immigrant, I said, wait a second, we are Americans. You shouldn't pander any group. You shouldn't pander Spanish. You shouldn't pander Italian. It should be English. The Bill of Rights is written in English. So I wrote a letter. I also met Wayne LaPierre in Las Vegas because I bought his book and I went to his book presentation. And I asked him, Mr. LaPierre, what do you think about this double language? And he said, write me a letter, blah, blah, blah. So I wrote a letter. They wrote me back. And they said, by the way, nothing we can do. If you don't like it, you can give your resignation as NRA life member. I did. I must tell you, I got very disappointed. I'm pretty no compromise. For me, especially not being born here, I find it disgusting that the NRA had this sort of a double language pandering to a group. Because at that point I say, if you really want to do a website with Spanish, you should also put German, maybe Chinese, Korean, whatever. Italian. I don't want that, of course. Anyway, 12 years later, right now, I had an open mind. I say, you know what? I understand. I disagree with that. At the same time, I try to look at the other side of the NRA. It's been also very vital, the support of the NRA in these elections. I think, unfortunately, they compromise on other issues sometimes. They're not like, for example, my favorite organization is the Gun Owners of America or Arizona Citizen Defense Leagues or Jewish for Preservation of the Firearms. But NRA sometimes play too much politics, but at the same time, it's still doing a great service. I really believe that beside the NRA, of course, political force behind, that we need that. He's also been doing incredible service in educating and training. So I said, I want to be humble. I want to reevaluate my positions. And also, I want to really always start to learn again from scratch. I'm not saying that, I'm not a professor. I'm not an instructor, very well. But, in my little experience, I'm distinguished graduated from frontside advanced tactical classes. I've done many classes. I try to train myself always to be, of course, the best I can. But you know what? I said, let me try to apply for the NRA basic pistol shooting classes. I really wanted to start from the beginning. So I went online and I joined the NRA, of course. And I'd say that was my change of heart. I realized it was important. With these elections, made me understand that we should support the NRA, in my opinion, regardless their failure. Maybe they are not perfect, but they do their best. And I think there is a lot of good stuff they're doing. So anyway, I joined the NRA and I applied for the basics of pistol shooting. That's, by the way, is a class that you can attend online. It's you don't shoot. There is the first part is all theoretical. And it's basic, you think, but it's a very great class. I invite everybody to at least take a look. Somebody, let's say you want to start to learn about handguns, and you don't know anything. And you are serious about safety, and also about the principles, how to shoot a gun, how the ideas, the techniques, and everything. You want to become, let's say, a gun proficient person that understands the responsibility. And also you would like to start the journey. This is a great class. And I tell you, it's not that simple. There is a lot of information. So anyway, you go to, for example, basicpistol.nra.org. basicpistol.nra.org. $60. And I'm not getting paid, by the way. I don't get paid by them, okay? I tell you, I did this class. I passed it. But it was more challenging than I thought. There is a lot of other things that normally, in the combat, more self-defense classes like front sight. They're really good, by the way. For the practical self-defense class, I think front sight is number one, in my opinion. But the power that you have at NRA as a gun culture, a lot of great information, a lot of things, a lot of stress, of course, on safety and handling. And even when you go down to marksmanship, they're a little more, let's say, oriented to that type of marksmanship goal, little more detailed on some issue. So I tell you, I believe if you want to start your journey, or even if you already have started your journey, like for example myself, I've been shooting. I could say, I don't need that. I want that, and I'm grateful. So much that after I finished my NRA Basic of Pistol Shooting online course, I also did the pistol shooting part 2. With also the qualification with the test. And of course I did number 3 level in my qualification, but regardless. And then I'm applying to other NRA classes. I think it's incredible service. I really believe. Now, why am I saying that? Listen, we gotta find every way we can to defend ourselves, our families. You can have all the guns you want sitting in your safe, rifles, shotguns, whatever. Doesn't mean anything. Seriously. The first weapon is yourself, is your brain, is your heart, all together. The gun, as I said, is an extension of your will to be free and to defend yourself. So the point, you need training. You need mindset, but you need also a weapon, of course, and you need training. The training, you can find it somewhere, somehow, but you gotta find it. And I'm giving you many options. As I said, I don't endorse anybody. I just give you ideas that I do, things that I tried and I tested. So give it a try to the NRA. And I think it's an incredible opportunity, seriously, because you can do, for example, this class online. And then when you pass the test, by the way, that is not that easy if you do it right. You can then say, okay, now I can look for an NRA instructor or any other instructor. I can go to the range, and you already know a lot. You don't waste time. You can start to practice all these ideas, all these techniques. So that's the point. Now, what I would like to say also about this NRA. $30 a year. Many people, it's not much, It's not even a cup of coffee is out there. Of course, if you drink Zanna coffee, you can save a lot of money. Don't forget. Go to zannacoffee.com and drink your coffee at home. So save the money from Starbucks, that they are also enemies of our rights when it comes down to the Second Amendment. But anyway, with $30 a year, join the NRA too if you can. I did. It took me a little bit of thinking, honestly. I had to swallow my little pride. I remember what they told me 12 years ago. But I said, you know what? There are things more important than my pride. Even they are not perfect, as I said. We disagree on this bilanguage website that they have. I still believe they're doing an incredible job. And more important, their service in educating people out there in safety and marksmanship, it is really good and affordable to everybody. Okay, that was so much for the NRA class. Now, let's have a little bit of a break, and then we come back, and then we have some interesting news about legislations, unfortunately propositions that passed around the different states, and they're not good. They're not good. But we have a lot of hope at federal level for the first time in a long time. So don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna.
Don't tread on us.
Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice.
The Zanna way.
Don't trade on us, the Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration, chambered in 223 Wild, that can shoot both 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499, made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle, ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Trade on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD, Don't Trade on Us, free ebook, How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt, Slaves Are Never Armed, I Am Not a Slave, free 30-round magazine where allowed by the law, free laser engraved ejection port, Don't Trade on Us, for just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com, www.freedomrifle.com. Get your Freedom Rifle now.
Okay, back here in the studio, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna, second hour about guns and also love. As I said, this show is not just about guns, it's about love. Love for me is always the biggest, most powerful weapon. Think about it. You can have all the guns you want. If you're afraid to use them to defend innocence, to defend life, they're useless. Who's going to motivate you when you're afraid for the ultimate maybe act of love, to defend an innocent? Sometimes can be dangerous. You expose yourself to everything, not just to criminals, also to lawsuits and, everything. It's your love. That's why I said we are here, and I always say we are, in my opinion, try to share a message. Guns are not evil. Guns are not for death. It's the person behind who makes the difference. And I really believe here on the show, our main weapon is love. Of course, always followed maybe by a nice AR-15 or let's say M14 is my favorite rifle. Maybe a handgun, maybe a shotgun. Why not? Anyway, now talking about love, I'm doing this as a service to a friend of mine who is having some really serious health problems. All I want to say, his name is Bob. He's from Golden Valley. I know Bob many years. He's a great guy. We've been shooting together, we have spent time together at the range, helped me out in how to reload, different things. Unfortunately, a couple of years ago, he had a serious disease. He's not doing well. I don't know how it's going to end up, but it's really, really serious. I don't think it's going to be around long. He asked me a favor. Say, Luca, can you please share? I would like to sell a couple of revolvers. Exactly, there are 3 revolvers. And this message, by the way, it is only for people in Arizona. Better also if you are in Mojave County. Please do not call if you're from California or other states out there. Bob doesn't care. All I'm going to do is give you this sort of a shout-out. And if you're interested, go to my website, lovegunsfreedom.com, lovegunsfreedom.com. There is my email, zanna@zanna.us. Send me an email, say, I would like to know about being in contact with Bob. And I will send you his email. So at least you can contact him directly. So you need to sell 3 revolvers. Okay? I'm not here as an agent. I'm not here as a dealer. This is a private transaction between him and you. Okay? You better be an Arizona resident and a law-abiding person with no felonies. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything. Anyway, regardless, let me tell you. So they're all stainless steel, great condition, in my opinion. One is the Model 649, 38 special. Okay, 1 7/8 inch barrel with Uncle Mike's grips plus 2 speed loaders. Okay, Model 649, 38 special. It's a small revolver, great condition, stainless steel. Then you got Model 65, 357 Magnum, 4 inches barrel, 2 speed loaders and pancake holster. Very nice revolver. Model 64, 38 special, 4 inches barrel, 1 speed loaded zipper rag. Okay? All revolvers are in good condition. And Bob is very meticulous, by the way. He clean them and shoot them correctly. I mean, it's a great guy. So if you need a revolver, you can save a good chunk of money and also have a private sale between you and Bob. Just email me, go to the website, lovegunsfreedom.com, and Bobby can send you also photos. And in this way, you can have a nice revolver for your family or for your, for yourself. At the same time, you can save a lot of money. Okay? That was it. Then, of course, I would like to say, normally, I also do this service. If you are in Mojave County or if you are in Arizona, and you want to sell your gun, I invite you to call me. And you can directly, private sales, they're still legal here. But talking about private sales now, you just remind me what happened in Nevada just a few days ago. So let me tell you. Unfortunately, in Nevada, we had a very change of demographics. Some good stuff happened, in my opinion. Some bad happened. Let's start with the bad, and I think that's pretty much the most important thing. The bad stuff is that Nevada passed question 1, that it is a proposition. The people sit down, go there at the ballots, and they start to think that they can vote, and they can, let's say, vote your rights out. That's the scary thing about these propositions. You can get 51% of the population that they are brainwashed, and they can say, let's vote your rights out. Let's say we want to steal your home. Let's say everybody with a house over 2,000 square foot needs to pay double property tax. They can do it. Why not? They can do it the referendum, 51%. Don't you think that's scary? It is scary. Like we had in Arizona, for example, the Proposition 206 for the minimum wage. Well, I'll talk to you about that later. But right now, in Nevada, what happened? Question 1, anybody buying a firearm would be required to pass a background check from a licensed dealer. Okay? So, right now, the point is, even if you want to try to do private transaction, it's over. The scary thing also, the way this bill is read, let's say I go to the range and I shoot with my gun. And then you ask me, by the way, Luca, can I test your rifle? Okay, give you my rifle. Guess what? You should do a background check. Like they did this also in Washington State a couple years ago. Similar proposition. You become a felon if you don't comply with the law, by the way. Just because somebody wants to shoot your rifle without, a background check. That's, by the way, this is Bloomberg, going around from state to state, spreading his poison, spreading his evil. And Arizona is going to be next, by the way. You know that. We are under siege. So that's the situation. Talking about private sale. In Arizona, it's still legal to do private sales, okay, between residents. And I encourage you to do that, my opinion. Now, talking about bad stuff, not just in Nevada. California, for all the people here in Needles who are listening to the show, I feel very sorry for you. I don't know why you're still living here. If you believe in the Second Amendment, in my opinion, you should pack your stuff and cross the river, or you start your peaceful revolution and start to really get active to take back your government. Proposition 63 in California was proposed by that pig, and I call him myself a pig, a fascist pig, Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom, hope you can hear me, bastard, that pretty much now you must perform a background checks when purchasing ammunition and magazines. This is ridiculous. To buy ammunition, you must perform a background check. Oh my God. Also, those selling ammunition would have to register for a license to do so. So if you want to sell ammunition in California, you must have a license. Talking about fascism. In other words, ammunition magazine sales would operate the same as gun sales. Of course, I think how much more it's going to cost on top of the ammunition. This is, by the way, the first state in the Union that passes such a law. I call it travesty. The proposition also banned large capacity ammunition magazine capable of holding more than 10 rounds. They were grandfathered. So if you have any magazine in the past, they were, let's say, 15 rounds, 20 rounds, doesn't matter, even 11 rounds, now you can become a felon. California, you're doomed. I'm so sorry. You are doomed. I don't know how it really happened, but I think it must have happened. I'm sure there is a way to find out. All you have to do, don't get involved. All you do, go to the beach and surf and smoke pot all day. And by the way, you know how I think about pot. You can smoke whatever you want. You can have all the fun you want if you respect others. But if you don't get involved in politics, I'm sorry, if you drink too much fluoride, and if you follow everything, the school system tell you, become a brainwashed zombie. That's what you are. So that's how California has gone. Then there's another one in Washington State, because, fascism is never over. This bastard never stop. Washington Initiative 1491 passed and created Extreme Risk Protection Orders, ERPO. This initiative allows family and household members and police to go to a judge and seek an ERPO. Okay? That's Extreme Risk Protection Orders. If they feel... Look at the word, okay? Be careful, because this is if they feel you are at high risk of harming yourself or others. The order, when it's issued, would prevent you from temporarily purchasing a gun. However, the order can be renewed and or extended. Now, let's put it this way. If they feel, anybody can have a lot of feelings. You can feel that I'm an idiot. That's fine. That's your right. But between feeling and having a due process and being somehow verified that I can be harmed, that's a different story. This is scary. What happened in Washington. Washington is gone. Like Oregon is gone. Look at these idiots, completely brainwashed, burning cars and businesses on the street. And of course, Nevada is getting bad. Meanwhile, as I said, in Arizona, we talked before, I guess, I don't know if we talked already, but we didn't pass Proposition 205 that, I'm not a smoke potter. I don't smoke marijuana, but you will listen at the final hour. I had a great guy who wants to have marijuana legalized, and I support that, even if I don't smoke. You can see here my position on that. But meanwhile, here in Arizona, we didn't pass that because, we want to keep the fascism going. So if people, have in their home one plant of marijuana, they can have their home confiscated without due process. And if they found maybe a gram, 1 ounce or whatever of pot in your pocket, you become a felon. Okay? And you're going to a private prison. So you will find out that. Or if you are, let's say, a medical marijuana user, it's your right to choose how you want to cure yourself. No, you cannot buy a gun. So unfortunately, Proposition 205 did not pass in Arizona. But we got, of course, Proposition 206 for minimum wage, that, by the way, I despise, because I think never should be the business of the government to dictate how much a person should make. It is a private contract between two parties, the worker and the boss. Okay? Simple as that. But we will talk about another show. This is the hour about guns. So anyway, that's the story. Propositions, they are dangerous. That's my point. I don't care when even they are for a good cause, they are dangerous. Because if you think about it, all they need, 51% of the people with no education for our rights, for our constitution, they can brainwashed, and bank, they can come and take your rights by vote or through votes. All right, now little break, and then we go in some training ideas, because are you going to be prepared? What are you going to do if you find yourself in a riot? What are you going to do if you are in that car surrounded by this bunch of coward monkeys? Or what you going to do if maybe you're on the floor or on the ground when they beat you up? Do you have a plan? Do you have a training? Let's talk about some ideas. That's it. Okay, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. A little break. And by the way, before I forget, please, right now, more than ever, you need to have an AR-15, a rifle. Yes, you need a handgun, but the rifle is the first weapon to defend your liberty. And when you have a handgun, it is because you will use the handgun to fight your way to the rifle. When riots start, you're not going to save the day with your handgun. The handgun, they're already on you. You're already dead if you had to fight yourself with your handgun. I mean, at least not dead, but, they're already too close. Don't forget during, the riots in Korea City during the, in the 90s, in Los Angeles, the riots that were down there, Koreatown. I mean, you see all these Korean business people, they were on top of their roof. The only buildings that weren't burned or destroyed because these people had rifles to defend their life and their families and their properties. So that's what I say. Now more than ever, take a look, buy a rifle, and of course, don't forget, go to freedomrifle.com. I got a new beautiful, stock of incredible uppers ready to go for the Freedom Rifle. Incredible package for just $499. A complete rifle. You buy the upper, you buy the lower, comes with a magazine, comes with the rear sight removable, comes a lot of interesting extra stuff that nobody else gives you. Copy of the Constitution, downloadable CD, Don't Trade on Us, the ebook, How to Become a Rifleman. And then on top, if you live in Mojave County, I want to meet you and go to the range with you. Normally Sundays, that's my day. Bring your rifle, I'll help you out also to zero it. Okay, that's an incredible opportunity for less than $500. And by the way, if you are in Lake Havasu, I remind you that there are two shops that really sell this rifle incredibly well. One is Havasu Guns, 2115 McCulloch Boulevard, North. Phone number 928-302-1991, Havasu Guns. And the other one is a different type of shop. It's an FFL dealer that works out of his house, but he's a very good, really great guy. His name is Gary. Elk Ridge Firearms. Elk Ridge Firearms. Call him first, 928-486-7734. 928-486-7734. Elk Ridge Firearms really also sells the Don't Trade on Us rifle. If you are in Kingman, you go to Shots. 3140 Airway Avenue, Kingman. 3140 Airway Avenue, Kingman. Phone number 928-681-3400. Right now, they're out of rifles, but I think Monday they should get back, okay? So, Don't Trade on Us, the Freedom Rifle. Go check it out. freedomrifle.com. It's incredible. I also watch the videos, testing the rifle. This is not just something, a rifle that we put together. No, this is a rifle that shoots. Accurate, reliable, and affordable. Check it out. All right, let's take a break. Then we come back. We get back with some great training ideas, how to defend your family and life in case there is a riot. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna.
In this world where everything seems to be going sideways, when you need things set straight, Zanna Coffee Straight Shot Espresso. Start your day with a bang. The best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade, certified, sustainable, organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Don't be cheap. You deserve the best. Get Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com.
Here we go. Back into the studio. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna. This is the second hour about guns. I like to share once in a while also good news, as I said. We went through some bad news, Washington State, these referendums, and, of course, Nevada. But we have hope at federal level, at least for now. Donald Trump said a lot of things before the elections. And he had a great boost, a great support also from the NRA. And a lot of millions of people like us who voted for him, even just because of this stance on the Second Amendment. Now, there are no more excuses. He is a president, or at least almost there. We will see exactly when he gets the final inauguration. I believe it's going to happen, hopefully, if he doesn't get killed. Then we have, of course, by act of God, I believe, the House, because the Republicans do not deserve it. Paul Ryan is a pure scum, and so the Senate has been pure scum, many of them, most of them. The Republicans have been as bad as the Democrats, in my opinion. But still, right now, we have both the House, and the Senate, and the presidency. So my point is, there are no excuses now for any of these bastards out there to do not do the right thing. And what is the right thing? The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Simple as that. Now, the ideal version of this, my opinion, the way I read the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, of course, doesn't say, oh, you should have a permit. No. Permit is not a right. It's a privilege, okay? Otherwise, they should have written the Second Amendment, the right of the people, or even better, the privilege of the people to keep and bear arms. You should pass through a concealed weapon permit. No, he didn't say that. Say, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, period. Even an immigrant like myself can understand that. But regardless, let's start with one step at a time. Arizona for me is the model. Arizona is the way it should be. We can conceal, open carry, law-abiding people without any permit. Okay? That's the idea. Now, I'd be happy to start, as Trump also said, something that is kind of revolutionary considering where we went the last 100 years in this country, to create a national concealed carry reciprocity. Okay? That means now that there is a desire, at least hopefully a political desire, to create and establish a national concealed carry reciprocity in all 50 states. Okay? That means, let's say, like a driving license. If I have a driving license here in Arizona, why I should not be allowed to drive in California? No, that's not the case. We know you can drive in California. So I can drive also in New York. Not because I never go to New York, but, Same story with the Second Amendment. If I have a concealed weapon permit here in Arizona, why, as a law-abiding American, I should not be allowed to be good enough to cross that damn state line, like, for example, in California, without becoming a felon? So that's the idea. National concealed carry reciprocity. I think it's a very important thing. It's a great start. It's something never done before. So I'm happy. Am I saying that that's the final ideal way I would like to have it? No. The ideal way is supposed to be, in my opinion, Arizona or Vermont style. Okay, and also many other states now, by the way, they created this constitutional carry system like Arizona. Anyway, I hope Mr. President Trump will follow up. I hope the Congress and the Senate, they will not backstab us like they've done all these years so far. That's all I can say. Now, the important thing for the Second Amendment, okay, it's ending gun-free zones on military bases. I'd really like to ask to any, let's say, liberal. By the way, you're not liberals, you're fascist, in my opinion. If you are against the Second Amendment, you're a fascist. You're liberal. If you're a true liberal, you believe in liberty, and you believe that you as a human being, you should have the right to defend yourself, that regardless, and especially by in case a corrupted government, a fascist government takes over. That's a true liberal. You understand the freedom that you have as a human being, as an American in this case, to keep and bear arms. That's the true liberal. No, if you think that only the government should have guns, you're a fascist. But let's say for a moment that you're one of these fascist liberals, and you believe that on military bases, the soldiers, the same soldier that they're allowed to have guns to die in foreign lands, They're supposed not to have even a side weapon to defend themselves on the bases. That's ridiculous. That's why these criminals went on the bases and started to kill our soldiers like a bunch of, bunch of turkeys. That's terrible. Terrible. So, President Trump, he will have the authority to pass an executive order allowing the United States military to carry firearms on duty. That's great. I think that's great. If you don't trust your military, you have a problem. These are your soldiers. And you know the story. There was under Clinton administration that by his stroke of a pen on military bases, our soldiers were disarmed. That's pretty sad, eh? Anyway, so it's a good move. I hope it's going to do it fast. Now, legalizing silencers. People say, why do we need a silencers? You know what? Why do you need to brush your teeth twice a day? Because you want. Because you can. Because I think it's healthy. It's healthy for your teeth. And I think it's healthy for my ears to have a silencer. It was in case I need to shoot in the middle of the night, I don't want to blast my ears. Maybe because I enjoy it. Period. Because in the Second Amendment, when it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, we didn't have some sort of a postscriptum. By the way, no silencers, no 30-round magazine, or blah, blah, blah. No. The right of the people to keep and bear arms, silencers, or whatever technology we have in the future is included. Maybe one day we're going to have laser guns pretty soon. So that's fine with me. All right, so silencers should be really important, okay? Because, by the way, that it was removed, this right, because you can have a silencer, but you need to have so many, federal permits, and, it's a pain in the butt, seriously. And you pay your fee, your stamp, $200, whatever it is, then you get ATF at your door. That was under the great bastard, the communist, one of the first real communist president that we had. Wasn't the first, but, was one of the most evident socialists out there, frankly, Roosevelt, So anyway, it's time to repeal that. It's time to come back to be real Americans, that we don't need a permit to have a silencer, to carry a silencer, or at least to enjoy a silencer, okay? So that's the story. Now, I really enjoy this hour, by the way, because it gives me the opportunity to reflect, to think a little bit, how much potential we have right now as a nation, as America, and as Americans, to come back to really bring back what we used to be. As I said, it's up to us. If we fail, we have no excuses but ourselves. President Trump, he has a lot of things to fulfill, and I hope he will do it. I really pray for that. I pray for his safety. Even if I don't agree on everything with him, I really believe at least we have a chance to have a reasonable opportunity here to remove some of this government, some of this fascism out of our back, and to reinstate some of our rights, reopen an investigation to investigate 9/11. That's an important thing. We need to know. Obama gave an amnesty, that to the Saudis. We could even sue him. So anyway, there's so much we need to do. That's all I can say. Anyway, and at this point, I think we should go into the ideas how to defend yourself in case you are in a mess. What is a mess? A mess that you are in a place that you shouldn't be. Yes, if you are in a situation like in a riot, you already made a big mistake. You already failed. But the point is, riots normally don't happen out of the blue. Sometimes, yes, there are these flash mob riots, I understand. Don't get me wrong. But normally you can sense them. You can see what's going on. And the idea you shoot the first weapon to defend yourself is to avoid the confrontation. You don't put yourself in harm's way, you and your family. Because, you're not Captain America, you're not Superman. The reality is you're going to be one or maybe two, your family, against maybe hundreds. There's really no way that you can defend completely yourself in that situation. So the first weapon should be aware. If you plan your day to go to downtown or any of these places that could be a danger area, be sure to listen to the signal. Try to listen to the news. Don't just go insulated, blah, blah, blah. going out of your house like nothing, like a clueless person. Don't be clueless. So number one, be aware. Then when you are in the environment, be aware of your surroundings. You know, I'm always, first of all, the first person very proud of what I do. I didn't come to America to be a coward. I think in America we should have the right to not be afraid for our political opinions and ideals. And that doesn't mean just me, you too. I mean, if you are, let's say, whatever, Bernie Sanders, you should be proud of what you believe. We may not agree, but nobody should endanger your life. This is not freaking, the middle of Cuba where people get beaten up if you don't support your, Fidel Castro, okay? We're supposed to have differences of opinion, but nobody should be in danger for their opinions. Unfortunately, we know it's not happening. We know that in some part of the states, police, they're always a little late, by the way. As I said, police, they cannot stay with you 24 hours a day. It's impossible. But more important, you know that in some areas like Portland, Oregon, they really don't want to do anything. I told you before the beginning of this hour, look at this woman. She was there. The media was there. They were reporting, videotaping everything and live, and nobody moved, lift a finger. So you got to count on yourself. The first thing you want to do, as I said, avoid to go into the situation. Number two, if you are into the situation, the best weapon in this case is camouflage yourself. You don't need to say, hey, I'm a Trump supporter. You know, there are moments that you will be proud when you have the tactical advantage. But the first weapon you have right now is to survive. The first weapon you have is to, let's say, don't give the enemy the opportunity to identify that you're a target, okay? Normally when I drive around with my truck, you know, it's a big truck, there is my name. Too late, I already know. Some bastard wants to get me. Come, enjoy the show. I'm not going to be a victim, though. I'm not going to be on my knees. I'm going to fight back. You better know that. But many people out there, you know, maybe older people, maybe people that they don't have the training or whatever. The best weapon, try to camouflage yourself. If you go in an area that, you know, could be dangerous, because the demographics, you know, if I go to Portland, for example, I wouldn't drive my big truck with, I never had a Trump, bumper stickers, but, you know, I had Screw Obama bumper stickers, okay? So I wouldn't do that. I know that it's not a smart thing to do. So try to prepare yourself. Be low-key. That's the first weapon. Be low-key. Try to confuse the enemy. Then if you really are unfortunately attacked, because there are some people that are rabid dogs, maybe just because you're white. They don't care if you're Trump or not Trump. You just fit the profile. You look like a decent person. You have a decent car, and they will smash the window, and they will try to drag you out. Listen, the moment that you're on the floor, or on the ground, you're lost. You're just at that point at the good heart of these bastards. They have no good heart. They have no sympathy. This is not a fair game. They're not going to say, oh, we don't play fair, please. I'm on the floor now. Help me out. Let's start again. No, they will kill you if they can. And they did kill somebody recently. One of them was, by the way, was a homeless guy. He was a Trump supporter. Can you believe that? There's so many news coming out. So you don't want to give up. You don't want to get out of that car. Do everything you can to get out of that crowd. Now, you need to understand that there are different state laws. But the basic law is if your life is in danger, and I'm not here as a lawyer, I'm not here as an advisor, I just give you my opinion, so bear with me. If your life is in danger and you have no other option because you fear for your life, you do whatever you have to do to get out of the situation. My goal is not to kill them. My goal is to save my life. That's the point. And if I get surrounded by 100 people that say they will come towards me with a criminal intent, and they start ready to beat my car down, I'm not going to wait that they break my glass and throw me out. I'll do everything I can to get out of the situation. Remember, what is the most important weapon you have? Is your brain. Forget about the gun. You have, right now, if you're in a car or in a truck, you got a big weapon. Okay? If they're surrounding you, you know what? You do whatever you have to do. If you fear for your life, I'm not even going to tell you. Follow your heart, follow your brain. All I know that I'm not going to put myself in a situation to be blocked and being thrown out on the street like they did with the ambassador in Libya, on the ground, stomped, maybe even raped, whatever they can do to you, just because they don't like the color of your skin or whatever. No. Avoid that. So be smart. Then, of course, always carry. If you go in your car, my opinion, according to your state laws or whatever, you should carry your handgun always, in my opinion. Always. And train. Don't just carry. But also always have with you a backup weapon. That honestly, the handgun is the backup weapon. The main weapon would be, in this case, for me, a rifle. Not even a shotgun. I like the rifle. Hopefully with 30 rounds magazine if your state allows. Because that's where you need to have extra firepower. In case you're in a situation of emergency. Trust me, these people are cowards. They attack you because you know that you are disarmed. They know that you are defenseless. When they see somebody who fights back, they will run like a bunch of coyotes. That's what they are. So always consult your laws, state laws. But if you can, carry your handgun, carry your rifle, and carry extra ammunition. Hopefully, you should carry also leather gear with your magazines. And don't forget your medical kit. Cell phone always charged. I won't go more next week about this. We need to get down to some very practical ideas. If you want to come shoot with me, I welcome you. Just email me if you live in Bohlke County. Go to lovegunsfreedom.com. Find my email. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna, ready for our number 3. Do not go away.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM in all United States .fm network. Final hour, the hour about love. I tell you something. One thing I love the most, in my opinion, it's freedom. We know that. And I said many times, when we do not infringe on somebody else's rights, we do not endanger anybody else. That's for me where I really draw the line, and I get so mad when somebody tries to tell me how to live my life. Let me be more specific. Otherwise, you may think I'm crazy. You say, what is he talking right now? Yes, I'm talking that at the end, the most important piece of real estate that we own, since the moment when we are born, it is not like the house or your castle or your mansion or whatever many properties you may have. No, it is your body, okay? That's the bottom line. That's something that should be given us to any one of us out there. I don't care where you're from. I don't care how rich you are. You have one thing that nobody should take over. No government, no majority, no mob mentality. It is your body. You're supposed to be the Lord of your body. If you believe in God, that's another story. Your God is going to be your master. But if you do not believe in God, you're supposed to be in charge. That's the bottom line. When I see out there people and governments getting together, or more important, people giving power to governments through the mob mentality, the 51% of the people sitting down say, you know what? We don't like that you do that. How dare you do that in the privacy of your home? How can dare you to grow a plant? Because we don't like that plant. It's a forbidden plant. Or whatever other stupid ideas they have. They get together, they got a 51%, and they can vote on that type of, let's say, proposition. And at the end of the day, through the vote, they can deny your freedom. That, for me, where I go really crazy. Okay? Now, let me specify more, so people, hopefully, I'm making sense. Proposition 205 in Arizona, just a few days ago, was on the ballot. And of course, and I say of course, I would like to say maybe not of course, but anyway, it didn't make it. It was voted no. Now, this was a very important proposition, in my opinion, because beyond the medical use of marijuana, that I really believe there is a lot to talk about that, this is like a step forward, freedom. The idea that as a human being, that I'm not endangering others, I should be free to smoke. Forget about marijuana. I should be able to smoke poison from a rat poison if I want to. If I can do it in the privacy and safety of my home or an environment where I do not endanger others. That's the idea. Now, very important. I do not even smoke, but I got somebody here who smokes or at least enjoys marijuana. And that's the bottom line. It is not about me. It is about, as said before, freedom. It's about the idea that the majority, the mob, and the government, of course, because they always have some special interest, they should not dictate what I do in the privacy and in the safety of my life. That's the bottom line. So I say, thank God I do not smoke marijuana. I do not like it, because if I like it, I would be probably spending most of my time in prison, because I refuse the idea that to grow a plant, a freaking plant in my own house, to smoke it or just to admire it, I need to have a freaking permit. I mean, seriously, think about it. I can grow basil, I can grow sage, but if I grow, God forbid, if I grow marijuana, even just for, let's say, just to look at that, I would be probably losing my home there. I would be raided, treated like a hardcore criminal, and ending up. Anyway, now let's go to the point. Prop 205 didn't make it, but let's bring one on the show, one person that I really respect a lot, because he puts a lot of his time and money and really just energy out there to try to educate people about we have the right, even if you don't want to use it, to smoke whatever we want. And in this case, it's a plant in the privacy of our life. And of course, as treated as the same as alcohol, that by the way is much more addictive and is much more dangerous, or at least we have numbers how many people are dying of alcohol every day. So let me bring this guy that is not a guy, he's a friend of mine, he's also a Facebook friend, Dennis Bohlke. Dennis, are you there from Phoenix?
I sure am. How's my audio?
Okay, it's great. I hear you very well.
Oh, good. I've been hearing you on your talk, and the Prop 205 is not completely ready to throw in the towel.
Oh, good. Give me more heads up information. Go ahead.
And on election night, we were about 80,000 votes behind of about 2 million votes that were cast. Mm-hmm. Those were all election day voting. At that point, none of the mail-in ballots had been counted yet. Mm. And in Maricopa County, there's about 600,000 ballots that have yet to be counted.
Wow.
Or that are in the process of counting. And every ballot has an envelope, and they can only open up about 100,000 envelopes a day.
Wow.
If you can imagine a stack of envelopes that you got to open up. So they won't have a final count until the 18th of November is what the final word is that I heard.
Okay.
So
there's hope.
So it's a long shot. There has to be some boxes of ballots that it's a 2-to-1 in it, that there's 2 yeses for 1 no. Mm. And it has to make up for the 80,000 vote difference. The medical marijuana, when it was in this situation, was about 6,000 or 7,000 votes behind.
Okay.
And it pulled it off. So, it's bleak, but it's not out of the game yet.
Okay. At least we are not dead yet. We are not dead. There is still hope.
There's still hope. The smart people voted by mail-in ballots. So I'm hoping for smart people.
I hope that everybody becomes smart, at least to understand they should respect each other's right. Because this is for me, as I said, I do not smoke. Honestly, I can't even stand the smell, okay? But this should also make people more think about it. I mean, this is not about me smoking. This is about me saying, hey, it is none of my business what you do, you, Dennis, in the privacy of your home. For example, we're supposed to be free human beings, okay? I enjoy beer or I enjoy wine, okay? That's my favorite thing. I enjoy organic wine. And, I know very well the rules, and also not because they are the laws. I do also because I'm a decent human being. I never drink and drive. I do always in the respect of others. I could use a bottle of wine, or I could use, a couple of joints. That's my right. I don't want to hear any more about the medical marijuana is for medical purposes. That's fine. That's true. But maybe people want just to enjoy life and have their time smoking whatever they can afford. And, it's a plant after all. I'm not even asking to treat it like another type of drug. We are talking now apples with apples. And, I don't want to start to say, what do you think about meth? I can tell you what I think about that separately. Right now we are talking about a plant, an unprocessed plant. Okay, government should have no business to tell me what type of plants I should grow, eat, smoke, or whatever. Having a tea with that. So that's things that drive me crazy, especially when I see this opportunity for the government, and more important for politicians that they are on the payroll of corporations, to use also, this mentality that, democracy, 51%, we decided this is not good. Screw you. This is not a democracy. It's supposed to be a constitutional republic. Same story, I'm afraid, when it comes down to our gun rights. Now we're talking about another type of right. It is our body rights, our freedom to be free and to be happy. So I give you the floor and I shut up because I'm getting mad on this. Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, a lot of people may not realize it, but in Arizona, there's an underground black market of marijuana that could be projected up to almost $3.2 billion is being exchanged every year.
Wow.
And, what we're missing out on is almost $500 million in tax money that could be easily levied against this market in this exchange of product for money. We have right now in the state of Arizona, we have an average of about 12 to 14,000 people being arrested every year for marijuana. And Arizona is the last state in the union where any amount of marijuana is a felony charge.
Wow.
And this is relegating a lot of young people to, brushes up with the law, and the arrests never go away.
Yeah, that's true.
You can fight it. You can get it reduced to a misdemeanor, and when they reduce it to a misdemeanor, you're admitting that you were guilty of owning a controlled substance unless you follow through with probation.
It's terrible.
Right now in Arizona, we have about 42,000 people in the prisons on any given night. And we also have about the same amount in county jails.
Gee.
Now, often the opposition will argue that there is no buddy really in prison, that there's only 96 people in prison. Well, the people that are in prison are the people that could not get through their probation, which is to pass a Tinkle test for a year or so.
And also costs money, by the way. Probation you have to pay.
Yeah, we are living in one of the most corrupt states in the United States. And what's happening is that this law, the marijuana law, ARS 341305, is creating a $55 million shakedown of Arizona citizens.
Yeah.
Every one of, in 2015, 16,000 people were arrested for marijuana possession, just simply possession.
Mm-hmm.
To avoid the felony charges and have it plead down to a $3,500 misdemeanor fee, they went through a drug diversionary program called TASK, and they paid fines and fees.
Wow.
And they had to have their urine tested for probably 6 months or maybe up to a year, and they had to pay for all that.
Yeah.
That cost comes out to about $3,500 minimum per each one of those 16,000 people. And that, if you add it up, comes up to a $55 million shakedown. Now, what's I found interesting in my research is, we've had to have propositions that go forward to get this on the ballot. And in my adventures, I have gone and visited the legislature and had appointments with 21 legislative representatives trying to find out why we could get the bill, get a reduction in a harm reduction bill where a small amount would not be a felony.
Yeah.
And we ran into the chairmen of the Judiciary Committee.
Who is he?
Eddie Farnsworth. Number one, said over his dead body that he would make changes to the marijuana laws.
Of course.
And that really, and then that's in the House of Representatives. And maybe a lot of people don't know that in our state legislature, they're serving on term limitations of 4 consecutive terms. So we have some hope in the future because Eddie timed out on this. He term limited out. So he's losing his chairman of the Judiciary Committee. So maybe we'll get a new Judiciary Committee.
I have a question. Can I ask you something? We're talking about, of course, Arizona politicians here, right? And we can see a connection, at least according to my research. Many of these politicians who are against I don't want to call it legalization. I would like to call it decriminalization, because, a plant should always be legal, okay? But regardless, most of these politicians, according to my research, they have a great influence, or at least they have great connections and good benefits coming from corporations, for example, in the private private prison business, number one. And then, of course, they're always behind the big endorsement by a union of the guards, and more important, forget about the unions. I'm talking about the law enforcement organizations, because let's not forget also the sort of this law that police department, they can benefit without due process to confiscate your property just because they find on your property, in your home, or maybe in your car, any amount of drugs. Could be a little plant, could be whatever. They have the type of power to confiscate your property without due process, completely against our Constitution. Am I right or wrong?
Oh, you're absolutely right. The county attorneys are just raking in the money with civil forfeitures, where they can take your car if they find a seed on the floorboard, or if they find roach in the car, and even without any chemical analysis. I mean, it could be a completely different seed. Wow. It's a method of cultural cleansing. Yeah, that scary. Our state is using.
Scary. And let's not forget, I mean, there are, of course, also the bad cops that they may maybe drop a seed, okay? I mean, I'm not saying every cop would do that, but you know what? When you give the type of unlimited power, guess what? Can be abused. And yes. And they said thing, guys, listeners, this is not about drugs. This is not about marijuana. This is about due process. Think about it. If we really believe in the Constitution, if we really believe in due process, in limited government, how much power we are giving to a human being, to an individual, that we know they are corruptible. Everybody is corruptible. The moment that you are a human being, you are corruptible, okay? They are good human beings. They are medium. The point is, we cannot give that power to anybody to destroy your life just because they find a seed, or maybe they plant a little leaf of something. That's ridiculous. Everybody should have at least the right to defend themselves in front of the court of law, and after you're found guilty, maybe you need to pay the consequences for this stupid law. But regardless, at least you deserve your day on trial, and they make you guilty before even you got the day on trial. That's the scary thing.
Well, one of the scary things is one of the most fiendish opponents to our proposition changing the laws is Bill Montgomery from Maricopa County attorney. When you dig down, you find out that for every marijuana arrest and diversion to task, which we talked about the money before, his office receives $650. Wow. And he arrests and prosecutes approximately 6,000 individuals each year. Oh my gosh. That comes out to about $3.9 million that he's receiving from benefits to his office. I mean, I got to say, it's not into his pocket, but he must have some heck of an office party.
Yeah. No, this is very sad. That's why I say, listen, for me, this is one of the most important topics, along with freedom of speech and, of course, the Second Amendment. Because the moment that a government can tell you what you can eat or you cannot eat, what you can drink or cannot drink, what you can smoke or cannot smoke, especially when you obey the basic rule, the golden rule, you are not endangering anybody else. At that point, if I want my mom tell me, Luca, you shouldn't smoke, that's my mom. My mom is allowed to do that. But no government, no mob mentality, no majority can tell me what I do in the privacy and safety of my home or my environment. But that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. And that's why I get completely, also, I understand this proposition is an attempt to bring some logic and try to bring some, little benefits and to remove this travesty that they're doing. But at the same time, I also hate the idea of the proposition, because I never should put on the ballot my right. That is my natural right. Is your natural right, as I said, to own your body. That's
we're living in the Jim Crow law era.
Yes.
The laws are turning people into criminals just because they have a bad habit.
Exactly.
And what, how we move on from this, we're trying to work within the constrictions of the law and the Constitution of Arizona.
Yes.
And we have a marvelous Western Constitution. Our Constitution of Arizona, the old cowboys that started this state up didn't really trust the government a whole lot.
Yeah.
And they put in the initiative as a progressive idea. That goes back to Teddy Roosevelt.
Mm-hmm.
And Teddy Roosevelt loved this state. And another thing that they did for us is they put our legislature only on 2 terms. Every year, our legislature, every one of the members is up for election.
Yes, that part is good. That part is very good. And there are term limits. We have term limits, thank God, at least that.
Yes, we have term limits, and the people of this state have a tremendous amount of power. We only have 90 members of our legislature.
Yes.
That is a lot different than Pennsylvania, where they may have 480 members of their legislature.
That's true.
So the power, the Achilles heel in our state for the state government is actually the legislature. And the logistics of having a political say in this state makes it very possible for individuals like you yourself, who I admire greatly, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
Can play a very large part in our state politics. And we can actually do something about this.
I agree. I mean, we are responsible of our own future and present. That's the reality. That's the beautiful thing about Arizona. We are here. We can talk to these people. They are like, they come back home 6 months of the year, out of the year, they come back to our district. And we have at least a chance to communicate. There are some other states that are much more insulated, and they have this position like a permanent position almost, be a politician. So this is very important. And my goal is very simple here. I would like to use whatever I can here, my humble radio show, to at least make people think. Think about for a moment. Especially for people that normally they call themselves the conservative constitutionalists, okay? People that they are mostly in the Republican Party, or what they used to be the Republican Party. If you really believe in freedom, if you really believe that with freedom comes responsibility, if you think that the Taliban is bad, okay? Because after all, hey, you can drink alcohol in Saudi Arabia. You cannot drink alcohol under the Taliban. That's very bad. Yes, I agree. I don't think we should live under the Taliban. Morality should have been legislated. And when they tried the experiment, of course, during the prohibition, at least they passed a freaking constitutional amendment that was still wrong, but it didn't work. But at least they went that far. Now we have a prohibition of a plant that is more than just a prohibition, is an enslavement to us, to whoever comes after us, and to our sons and daughters, that they can become felons just because somebody can set them up. They can
you send your kid off to school and have them, you pick them up at the police station.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. This is not the America we're supposed to live. And more important, the golden rule. Right now, for example, I'm here in my studio, and I have in front of me a bottle of wine, okay? Am I endangering anybody? No. If anybody may not like alcohol, too bad. You don't need to drink it. I'm drinking it, okay? That's my right. So screw you. If you have your religion believe that alcohol is bad, I'm not forcing you to drink it. It is my body. It is my soul. Leave me the heck alone. That's the way it should be. Now, I know very well that if I do the not mistake, the negligence, and the infringing the law to drive after I drink my couple of glasses of wine and I result that I have too much alcohol, that I get punished. And that's the way it should be. Okay? Because I'm endangering other people.
That's one of the issues with the marijuana in the state of Arizona is any amount of THC found in your body, psychoactive, any trace, there's no limit to how small it is, can get you a DUI in this state.
Wow.
And a DUI conviction for marijuana possession or marijuana under the influence of marijuana gets you a 1-year suspended license.
Oh, my God.
But if it's for alcohol, it's 90 days.
Oh, my God. Wait a second.
You can be convicted and be totally sober. I mean, and not impaired at all. Professional sports players imbibe and use marijuana before they compete.
All I know that
witch hunt.
you can have residual even if you smoke the night before. I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor, but I know that you can smoke the night before and you still have in your system the residual. It's different from alcohol, but doesn't mean that because you have residual means that you are impaired. That's not the point. I mean, how can you even enjoy to smoke something? Then if you're driving, they pull you over, they can mess with your life very easily right now. I'm pretty scared about the idea, seriously.
Yeah. Well, They do mess with people's lives. What we have is a political repression. The current laws are used to repress the, not necessarily the left, but a certain set of people. Maybe the misfits get repressed.
Yeah.
And our state, which is basically a one-party state, the Republican Party state, the Democrats are just in tatters.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's I tell you, this is a beyond political party. It should be everybody who believes in freedom and in the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. That should be our belief, in my opinion. And that's, seriously, you're not in danger anybody else. And I hate, honestly, I was so disgusted when I was driving around, for example, Mojave County, and they have a vote no on Prop 205. Do it for the kids. Save kids. What are you freaking talking about, the kids? Seriously. I mean, this is the most disgusting way to completely bring something that makes no sense. Like when the anti-gun people, we need to stop the Second Amendment. Doing it for the kids. What are you talking about? Kids, they are not allowed to drink alcohol. They are not allowed to drive cars. And, of course, they are not allowed to smoke marijuana. So the same story. If you really want to believe in that stupid, contorted, mentality, we should also eliminate alcohol all the way. I mean, why not? Do it for the kids. I mean, are we right now under Sharia law? I tell you, no, I don't care about any religion. Everybody can believe whatever they want. But I have a problem when they start to completely use their religion, their beliefs, their morals, into the legislative process and impose it on us. Okay? For example, you can be a Buddhist. Normally Buddhists mind their business. I know that. Okay? Even many Christians, normally they live and let live. But there is some sort of different branches of whatever religion you may believe.
Well, one of the things that hurt Prop 205 is that the LDS church hierarchy just published and sent out a letter to all their wards to vote against Prop 205.
Yes. I read that.
And there's a lot of evidence that the church owns the private prisons, like the prison in Kingman area. And, from my research, I find that it rather interesting that about a population of 6.5% of the state is LDS, but about 60% of our elected officials are LDS members.
Yeah.
And Eddie Farnsworth, the guy who stopped any kind of marijuana reform for the last 6 years, is also an LDS member. The church is getting involved in our politics.
And question, are they a tax-exempt church? I'm just curious.
Oh, of course they are. And they've crossed the line with that letter, but, what can you do?
Well, I think, since we have here, we're supposed to be under the rule of law. I know that any other church would do something like that. They would be at least investigated. I think there should be at least an organization, or even just an individual, who completely denounce that and press charges. Because I believe that's wrong. That's completely wrong. If you're tax exempt, you're supposed not to be mingling and doing political activities like you're doing.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So that's my point. And I tell you something, for me, I don't care. You can be LDS, LSD, whatever you want. It's your business. But the moment that you start to tell me how to live my life and judge me, you got a big problem, dude. I mean, seriously. I can stand the type of, as I said, I don't care which religion. But if you're a good Muslim and you really follow your book and you really believe that infidels, they're supposed to pay a tax like a dhimma, or they're supposed to be converted, or they're supposed to have their head chopped if they don't follow, you have a problem. I'm not going to be your friend. And the same story with a religion like this one right now. If you tell me you want to impose your morals, that I shouldn't drink coffee, good luck with that. Or you're really going to get me in trouble there.
Well, I truly love the Mormon people. I mean, they're trying to do the right thing, but they don't really realize what the church is doing. The members of the Mormon LDS church don't even know what the resources the church owns. They're kept in the dark about the finances. And the LDS corporation is a $40 billion business. And from what I can see, they're also profiting off all the drug diversionary programs, the tasks. And for everybody that gets arrested in Arizona, the LDS Church makes a nickel for sure.
Wow.
Someday, somehow.
Well, this is true. I mean, as I said, I have a lot of Mormon friends that I know. And normally what they do, for example, I tell you the names, okay? She's been on my show, okay? Former Senator Karen Johnson, okay? Her and her husband, they are LDS, and I respect them very much. They believe whatever they want. They never try to impose any of their beliefs on me or anybody else.
Oh, they're wonderful people. I love them.
Okay, and I really believe they believe in freedom in the Constitution. That's the type of people I like. You can be any belief you want, but you respect each other. We all get along. That's the idea. Now, there are other people that I never really spend time with, but I see the way they judge you. I see the way they act, and that's, for me, the scary part. Because when somebody like, let's say, a legislator starts to tell me, even in the moment that maybe she may be tired at night, that we must do mandatory churches for our
that comes from a Mormon talk mouthpiece.
Okay, I mean, are you kidding me? You can say that to young people, Don't tell that. I mean, first of all, she's supposed to be a constitutional, leader, a conservative constitution. Did she ever read the First Amendment? I mean, there is no way you can do anything like that. You shouldn't even talk out loud about that. That's scary,
Yeah.
But we have a problem. They are somehow, many of them, they don't use their brain, but they follow the leadership from above. And that's the scary thing sometimes I have when I see organizations like that then become a religious organization. But they become, for me, more a corporate structure organization using religion as an instrument of recruiting and, of course, also profiting. Because let's not forget, you want to give your 10% before taxes to a church, be happy, go ahead. But that's not my type of church I want, okay? I don't
want them building jails for my culture. I come from a German culture. We like to drink beer.
Yeah.
And we like, as you would like to drink your wine. And, this is what that makes us unworthy in the eyes of the powers that be. And then they look for ways to put the unworthy and profit from it in prison. And this is just, this is corruption.
Yeah, it is corruption. And I tell you, the only way, I want to use this show, as I said, many times I thought maybe, who cares? But no, I think this is an opportunity, at least an opportunity to spread the information, start to think, start to really say, this is not about Republicans. Oh, you must be a Democrat if you believe in legalization. You're a liberal. No, I'm not liberal. You know very well, Dennis. I'm the last thing I'm probably the most individual, conservative person you can imagine. And, so conservative that I burn my Republican card, okay? Because I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm here for freedom. And I don't even smoke this stuff, okay? But maybe one day maybe the next thing they may deprive me, the government or the mob, my sage. I said many times, I like to grow my herbs for cooking. I got my basil, the rosemary, I got my mint, I got sage. Just to let you know, guys, sage can be very hallucinogenic. You can smoke sage, you can start to have vision, and it's much worse than marijuana. I tell you, man. I have a friend of mine that really went down pretty bad with sage. Should we now outlaw also sage? Because some stupid may abuse it? No, thanks. No thanks, government, No thanks.
In my visits to the Capitol, one thing that I was always impressed with is how nicely the lawns are kept, and everybody's dressed around in orange jumpsuits and orange T-shirts with AZDC on the back. I thought at first that must be a band, ACDC, but that's Arizona Department of Corrections.
Yeah, the slaves. I mean,
slaves. Yeah. And our government uses those people to do the groundskeeping at our state capitol, which is a good idea if you're a conservative because it costs less money.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a lover of freedom, and I'm a Democrat, I'm sorry to say it, I just think that we should have free men gardening our capitol.
But I agree with that. And, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican. I tell you, there is a problem with these private prison workers. First of all, somebody's making a buck there. They're not completely free. You know that.
I mean, it makes sense for our state to use those people there. But where is the end? I mean, we could also be using them for road work. Why does the secretaries of our legislature have to be free people? They could be inmates. I mean, we have plenty of people that are qualified. We almost have 2 30% of our adult population behind bars every night.
Yeah, and my point also, when you have a private prison renting, because they get paid, by the way.
And all our uniforms are made for the Marines are made in prison.
Okay, so that's
where are the people? These things should be made by free people.
Yeah.
What we have here is it may be more efficient for slavery to be the economic system.
Yeah, and this is the point. This is not exactly free. Yeah, it costs less than a worker for sure.
Yeah,
but they still get it rented, and the profit goes to the private corporation who rent these human beings. They're criminals, but they're technically still human beings. Okay, but they treat them like slaves because they work for free. Some of them they may say, I really like that because I want to get out of prison. I understand that. But
our 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Makes slavery permissible for anybody that's convicted of a crime.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand.
And therefore, they become the slave of the state. So our legislature, if it's controlled by some little goofy oligarchy, can just start creating laws. And it's often heard that in Arizona, you can get a felony for an evil look.
Yes, no, I understand. At least all I say, guys, no matter what party you are, let's start to think with our own brain, with our own heart. If you believe in freedom out there, a plant should be treated as a plant, like grapes, like alcohol, And the bottom line, there is a simple law. You should be able to do whatever you want with your body unless you infringe or, let's say, you endanger somebody else. That's the bottom line.
Just the idea that, what I do with my body is something that the state is to be concerned with is a socialistic idea.
Exactly.
It says that what I do with my body is a state's property.
Exactly.
We are not free people. The state controls our bodies under this situation. The laws that we currently are existing under, the marijuana laws, are based upon a Supreme Court decision that was based on a 1937 decision that you couldn't grow wheat in your backyard because it would disrupt the commerce laws.
Wow. Think about that.
We are living in the Jim Crow era.
Yeah, and I also call this fascism because when there is the union between the state and the corporations, and there is a union, there is a collaboration here. We know very well that it's all connected. Legislators passed law that benefits anyway private corporations. In this case, for example, Big Pharma, that of course they hate to have free people smoking a plant when they can, they're going to cut off a lot of their profit from their Big Pharma, drugs industry. And of course also the private prison business, because there would be a lot of less customers. Now we would have probably at least, 50% of our prison would be empty because there are criminals with no crime. That's the thing about nobody got hurt, but just because you have a little
children
plant.
got hurt. I have friends that are right now in private prisons, and they have between them 5 children.
Yeah.
From 16 to 6.
Yeah.
And they're missing their fathers.
And everything else. Many lose their homes, lose their lives.
Yeah.
You cannot get a gun anymore. Think about it. Right now, I was talking with Mr. Wise the last few weeks ago. And normally I don't agree on everything with him, but on this one we agree. Even, of course, sometimes, I understand you guys, you're trying to do this and show that there is an aspect of revenues and taxation, but I'm a little more extreme than you probably about this one. I think no plan should be taxed. Screw the school.
All we're trying to do is make a deal with the citizens of Arizona.
I understand what you're trying to do, and you're trying to make some sort of, compromise, okay? But
yes.
my ideal would be, screw you and your schools. If I want to smoke a plant, you don't need to tax me like a slave because it's a freaking plant. Leave me alone. If I want to grow my plants in my home, leave me the freak alone. Go to find your money for the school for somebody else. Okay? That's the bottom line. But that's another story. Regardless, I applaud you for what you're doing, for what you're trying to do. And more important, I hope more people in the near future, we can get together, completely remove this separation, these walls of the party lines, and use our logic, use our heart, and more important, use the concept of freedom and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And the point that, first of all, nobody should be put in jail or supposed to have their property stolen without due process. Let's start with that. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it's your body. If you do not endanger others, only God can judge you. Simple as that. If you don't believe in God, that's okay. You're fine. Okay, we move on. Anyway, that's my point. Can you give a website where maybe you can get more information about Safe Arizona and all the things you're doing?
Well, what we're doing is we have a Facebook group called Arizonans for the Legalization of Cannabis. We have over 5,000 members in the group, and we're going to work on a political action committee. We believe that the Facebook is probably one of the most powerful networking tools, along with Twitter, and we saw what Donald Trump did with Twitter and Facebook, and we monkey see, monkey do, we're learning.
Okay. Listen, you're a Democrat. I know if you don't want to answer, that's fine, but I think I may know your answer, but I want to ask, who did you vote for during these elections?
I'm a Trump man.
Wow. So you're a Democrat voted for Trump.
Yeah, I'm not a socialist.
Oh, I know
I'm not
that.
a communist.
Well, you are like an old-fashioned Democrat then. You know?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
That's the truth. I remember, I wasn't born here, but, I like to study history, and I watch videos, of course, of different presidents. And I remember the famous speech of President Kennedy, it's not what America can do for you, but what you can do for America. I mean, that was kind of a different mentality from today's Democrat. Am I right or wrong?
Bravo, yes. We've seen the socialists take over the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And to me it's very irritating, but it also looks like they've left it in shambles, and I'm an entrepreneur. When I see weakness, I see opportunity.
That's true. Listen, thank you very much, Dennis. I'm proud to be your friend, and I'm proud to stand with you in this struggle. This is the struggle not about marijuana. It's a struggle about freedom. Simple as that.
Liberty and justice for all.
Exactly. And please be in touch with me anytime you want to come back and share information. I really would like to have you on, okay?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, guys. This was Dennis Bohlke from Phoenix, Arizona. As I said, this is not about drugs. This is not about, first of all, how can you even call marijuana, a plant, a drug? I can call the same way grape. Because after all, grape, if I ferment it, becomes a drug. Yes, because I can get drunk. I can get stoned with a beer. Or not maybe one, maybe few. Same story with wine. So it's about freedom. Also say, be responsible. With freedom comes responsibility. As I said, I smoked marijuana only one time or maybe two when I was 18. And I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I don't like it. It doesn't work with my metabolism. I enjoy a good glass of wine. That's what works for me. Maybe a good beer, organic beer. But the point is not about me. It is not about you. It is about freedom. Okay? Nobody should become criminal because you own or you smoke a plant when there is no victim of that crime. Because there is no crime. That's the reality. So that's why I say, please, mostly I would like to talk to the people that call themselves conservatives, call themselves constitutionalists or Republicans. If you really believe in freedom, if you believe government shouldn't tell you what you can drink. Like, for example, look what happened in New York under Bloomberg. He was telling you how much salt you can have, how many sodas you can have. Screw you. All the way. No apology. No government should do that. Okay? The bottom line, of course, if I eat too much salt and if I have high pressure, guess what? Or if I get diabetes, I should be able to pay for my bills. That's a fact. All right, listen, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna, ready for the final part of hour number 3. It's always a pleasure to be with you here on the air. Don't go away.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Luca-Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Luca-Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
There we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM. This is the final part of the show, the hour about love. And as I said, there are many things for me the word love means. One of the things really I believe love means is not to be afraid to expose the truth and try to, let's say, defend humanity, defend the innocents, try to defend people that they are under attack. In this case, can be the innocent maybe on the ground, be beaten up by a gang, or could be maybe a much more sophisticated way of assault, maybe an electronic assault, maybe a mind control assault. I've been talking many times already, at least I'm learning a lot, about mind control, targeted individuals. 1 year ago, I pretty much thought there was a bunch of crazy stuff. I started to research with the help of my friend Ken Rhodes from Michigan. I realized that this is something so serious, so deep, that it's almost hard to believe. And that's why they pretty much now still keeping it so unbelievable, because you're not going to believe it. But there is science, there are facts, there are statistics, there are declassified documents, and there are proofs that the governments, not just this government, but governments of the world, and of course the U.S. government probably is leading the way, they have technology to control our minds in different ways, not just through the television or maybe through the medication or through the social engineering system, starting from the public re-education camps called also schools, but there are also much more sophisticated technologies using the military, by the militaries, against our consent, without our consent, to modify our behavior and also to drive us crazy and to experiment on us. And I really believe what they're doing today is just a small sample experimentation of what they may try to do in the near future on mass scale to completely control humanity. That's my theory after I study all this information. I have with me right now a gentleman from Buffalo, New York, who's been already on my show, who claims that to be a target individual, and I have a lot of reasons to believe that he is. But also he has a lot of information and good knowledge about technology that is real, that you can find out, that is used by governments to control our minds. David from Buffalo, New York, are you there?
Yes, I am. How you doing?
Very good. Listen, I want to give you the floor as much as I can. I'm going to be here listening. Of course, I have questions. My goal of this conversation is very simple. I want to try to educate as many people as I can, that what we're talking here, it is not some sort of controversial topic just to entertain. This is not a hobby. This is not like, show time. No, this is real, and it's dangerous. And it's happening to many people right now already. And it may happen to many more of us if we don't stop it. So the topic is targeted individuals, and I know you are a very knowledgeable person that you can articulate with facts and data things that people can at least start to research. It's like a little journey, and it's up to us to continue the journey. We can start them out. You can give them the direction, but, all I can do is start to say it's up to us to expose these criminals, and knowledge is the first weapon to expose them. I'll give you the floor, David. Go ahead.
Okay, there's so much. I personally just want to give you a little background on myself. I am an ordained elder in the Seventh-day Adventist Worldwide Church, and I've been trying to push this message out there. We have pastors. We have some pastors that are addressing this issue, along with other, quote unquote, conspiracies, because this is an out and outright conspiracy. Okay, what's going on right now is far greater than MK Ultra, which was a mind control research that supposedly had ended. Okay, but I found out that on my own personal level that it hasn't changed at all. In other words, what's happened here is just a different budget. Possibly several different agencies are involved now. It's far greater than the Department of Energy experiment, which the GAO, the Government Accounting Office, said they stopped at 500,000 people that were involved. When it all ended, for 30 years, it went from the 40s until the 70s. They found, GAO said that there was 500,000 plus. They just stopped at 500,000. And what they did, people found it appalling, reprehensible, egregious acts of misconduct, but it still happened. People were just, in fact, Edward Markey from Massachusetts said that it shocked his senses. What's going on right now is far greater. We're talking millions upon millions of U.S. citizens are being targeted with directed energy weapons, okay? Now, I think I'm just going to give you just a brief overview here, okay, of what I believe is one of the main problems and one of the ways in which they're using various law enforcement to target individuals, okay? Mm-hmm. In 1994, but even before this, but actually when an agreement was signed, a memorandum of understanding was signed by the then Attorney General, okay, Janet Reno, and then Secretary of Defense John Deutsch, okay? Mm-hmm. They got together and they decided that they would share these advanced military technologies with law enforcement, more specifically sheriff departments, because the sheriff, you see, he controls the county, okay? Yeah. And they decided that the sheriff department would he'd be responsible for the citizens not only of their county, but for anybody who came through their county. In other words, if you were in an adjacent county, okay, you could be targeted too. Like maybe you got a speeding ticket in another county. Okay, this technology is so sophisticated. You see, they don't need to be next door to you, okay, or very close to you. They can be thousands of miles away from you because they use these cell towers. Yeah. Okay. Yes. These what they call ground wave, the Gwen system, ground wave network. And what's happened here is that this Gwen system is they're leasing out the top. They're leasing out the bottom of the Gwen towers, okay, for cell towers, and they're controlling the top. It's a complete ruse of what's going on. People think that the Gwen system has been nullified, but actually it's been in use for all these years, okay? And what they do is they target individuals not only from their county, but all across the United States of America and the globe. But I'm concerned with what's going on right here in the United States. I'm praying, okay, that Donald Trump, as the president is just coming in, that he will address this problem. You see, Barack Obama, he put it out there as far as the Bioethics Commission, okay, which was in 2011 in Washington, D.C., and also in Manhattan, New York. He put it out there, but he didn't address it, okay? In other words, he just didn't do anything. All the overwhelming evidence that we brought, okay, Ken Rhodes and others they traveled to Washington, D.C., they traveled to Manhattan, and the evidence was overwhelming, but he did absolutely nothing. And this is not anything that's going to involve law enforcement. Law enforcement, what I mean by not involving anything, the problem is that they said that the technologies, these weapon systems were going to be used, okay, for law enforcement, for the criminal activity, and so on, like Ronald Reagan. When he came in office in 1980, okay, in 81, he realized that Washington, D.C. had the highest murder rate, in the nation, okay? He said, not on my watch. This is when he called in this technology. Within 18 months, Washington, D.C.'s crime level dropped dramatically, okay? But at this point, you didn't hear anything more about it, okay?
David, let me ask you a question. Yes. We're talking about a technology that no matter for which use, but people need to understand that exactly what it does is try to modify your behavior, correct, against your consent, right?
This is one of the things that it does. It can also cause extreme pain. There's several technologies in one, which they call information warfare. When one of the networks that came out was CBS, came out and called it information warfare. Mm-hmm. This was a 1996 expose from 60 Minutes. aired by Steve Cross. He was the anchor person, and he had on that particular episode of 60 Minutes, it was called Shoot Not to Kill, where they talked about less than lethal or non-lethal weapon systems.
Yeah.
These systems are very, very lethal.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, the point
they will
even pain can put you in compliance. I mean, they can modify your behavior with brainwashing your brain, also put you in extreme pain. That's another reality they do. But you think now... Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was going to ask you, at this point, we know that wherever there is too much power, somebody may abuse it. That's a fact. Especially when they experiment against our consent, because they always try to, at the beginning, give us a good excuse. After all, it's to reduce crime. And then we realize that we are all criminals or potential criminals. Now, the point is, I would like to find out how we can, first of all, I'm here right now in front of the computer, okay? And I am a regular guy, and I did my researches, but I may be a couple of steps ahead of many people. Average person out there say, you know what, guys, I want to have an open mind. I think you sound like a bunch of crazy, but I want to somehow research these targeted individuals. Where will you start them out? Where is the first lead you would give them to start to make them understand that this is real stuff?
Well, there's many places. I think they should all read the proposed bill by Dennis Kucinich.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Space Preservation Act. Okay, it was called the bill is HR 2977. HR 2977, and it came out in 2001. And basically, what it was, he just exposed various weapon systems. Okay. How they use extremely low frequency. We've seen this come across the board many times. Extremely low frequency ELF. We saw this with Aaron Alexis. He was one time he was in the Navy, and he got out of the Navy. He experienced a lot of problems. He thought he was losing his mind. Just prior to his actions in Washington, D.C., he became a government contractor. He went into a naval facility, and with a shotgun, and on the stock of the shotgun, he scribbled the letters, scratched in the letters, my ELF weapon. Now, we, meaning me and thousands of others like myself, we recognize this for what it is, okay? My ELF weapons, extremely low frequency. What's happened here is that Aaron Alexis contacted us, okay? It was like freedom from covert harassment and surveillance at that time. And he contacted an individual within the organization, and the individual gave him information back as to what was really happening, because he thought he was losing his mind. His parents thought he was losing his mind. Everybody thought he was losing his mind. He went into this naval facility with this shotgun with ELF carved in the stock of his weapon and killed up 13 people, including himself. And this is what's going on in our country. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
David, let me stop you 1 second. David, this is very, every time I go through this information, I find it always more and more valuable, because I really believe what we are facing right now in this moment as a nation, they will use, unfortunately, victims like that to create the next crisis. I need to do this right now, because I needed to give you more time on this one anyway. We're going to stop right now here. This is the last 30 seconds of today's show. And I'm going to get you right now. Don't go away after this, because I'm going to have you, and I'm going to put you for the next Sunday. We're going to have much more time. I want to ask you a more specific question about these elections, and also about what may happen using targeted individuals for nefarious purposes. Don't go away. By the way, guys, today's was pretty much all. I mean, we done and we crammed so much information as I could. I talk to you next Sunday, God's willing. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. And please, rebroadcast the show and share the YouTube channel, because we need to share this information to everybody. If you want to go to see the rest of the archives, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com.